For the 12th consecutive season, the Washington Capitals have reached the Stanley Cup playoffs. Despite realignment, two old rivals will meet again in Game 1 of the Eastern Conference quarterfinal playoffs. Tonight, the Capitals and the Penguins begin their quest for Lord Stanley's Cup. Stay tuned with us here on Paramount 20 Sports. Stanley Cup playoff action on Paramount 20.
Jeez! I don't believe in struggling, Huey. Passive resistance.
This is the Civic Arena in Pittsburgh, home of the Penguins, who won the Stanley Cup in back-to-back years after an early exit from the playoffs last spring. Tonight, the Penguins play host to the Washington Capitals.
Ask you! Come on, Huey, where's your sense of humor?
I lost it when you decided to tag along, all right?
Well, then I'll cheer you up with my latest idea. I was thinking, why do we have to jump at Dodger's Leap when you know how to uncouple the last car? Surprised you didn't think of it yourself. Think of the headlines. 20 years later, Huey Walker does it again. Get your book published.
Buckner, shut up.
You got married, you lived upstairs, it wasn't easy, but you shut up and you did it. A couple of years later, God willing, there's children, and you took over the payments. Do you know how much our bills went up after the last assessment?
Jumped down my throat. It's not going to happen.
That's what
A couple of wins. Well, the big talk here in Pittsburgh is that Mario Lemieux is healthy. Played only 22 games in regular season play, but is expected to play throughout the playoffs right now, and that means Mike Ridley's got to come up big on the defensive side.
Well, without a doubt, it's going to be a big key for Ridley, and one of the great things about Ridley, he has played very well in the past here in Pittsburgh, Jeff, and even better, at even strength, Lemieux's line is weak. And that's where I think the Capitals can really take advantage. If not only Ridley can hold them off of the score sheet, but get some offense of his own. Capitals certainly have some strong leadership on the back line. Kevin Hatcher, who has stepped up his play of late, in particular since the trading deadline, also will have his hands full with Mario Lemieux. Well, you know Hatcher's going to log a lot of ice time, and you look at still the Capitals' defense, along with Johansson and Cote. Not only are they going to be expected to play the defense, but at the same time try to chip in, time it perfectly when they're jumping into the play. Transition game is the key. Make sure they're not jumping in at the wrong times and getting the Penguins, catching them on the odd man rushes. We mentioned big number 66. As I said, played only 22 games in the regular season. Coach Eddie Johnson, who took back the coaching reins this season, said he's never looked better than he does right now. Well, and obviously that's scary for anybody involved. The fact that not only this hockey club is coming together down the latter part of the season, but the fact that Lemieux is in the lineup, there are no question marks as far as we know. He's ready to go. Of course, the Penguins are not a one-dimensional team. They've got outstanding talent up front, and they've also got a former Capital in the back line, Larry Murphy, that comes up big. Well, Larry Murphy is the key to their defense. He's their top guy, I think, not only defensively, but offensively. And that's as much a key not only for Pittsburgh, but even for the Capitals. How much pressure they can put on Murphy, how much they can put his face into the glass, and how physical they can play against their four top defensemen. So it's the Capitals and the Penguins to begin this National Hockey League Conference playoff series here in Pittsburgh. Maybe a blessing for Washington to start away from the U.S. Air Arena. They had a winning record, and we'll be back with the opening face-off here on Paramount 20.
What? Yeah. We should set up the soundbite. Well, because I thought you said we need something. You said something there. All right. Okay.
Yeah, that's fine like that.
Let me set it up.
That's all right. We'll have lots of time here. That'll almost work out better that way. Yeah, Bill Bilodeau, Sean Simpson, Jeff Rimmer here at the Pittsburgh Arena, ready for the Capitals and the Penguins in Game 1.
How are you hearing yourself, okay?
Yeah, no, it's fine. No problem. Everything's great.
Mic test 1 2 3 4. Test 1 2 3 4. Capitals are coming on the ice. Yeah, I can now. Yeah.
Get some more. If somebody gets a chance.
How long till we're back?
Sound bite and then come back to the goalies?
No, soundbite then the anthem.
Okay.
Jeff Rimmer, Sean Simpson rejoining you here at the Civic Arena in Pittsburgh. The start of the Stanley Cup playoffs between these two teams. The Capitals coming off a tremendous high, having won their 3 previous games leading up to the start of the Stanley Cup Series, including a big win you saw on Paramount 20 on Thursday night over the Buffalo Sabres, a team that wanted to move up in the standings. But the Caps held on behind Byron Dafoe for a 1-goal victory, 3-2. That, says Jim Schoenfeld, who I caught up with earlier, was a big boost to begin this playoff series.
Well, I think the Buffalo win was a big win for a couple of reasons. The game meant an awful lot to the Sabres, and they're a team like the Penguins. They have some great individual players like McGillney, Howard Chuck, Donald Audette. So you have Lemieux, Yager, Stevens. So for us, it was kind of like a dress rehearsal for this game. We responded well. Our goaltending was great, and we had a solid, strong game from every player. They knew they had to finish their checks. They did. We capitalized on our scoring chances. It's a game much like the game we're going to have to play here tonight in Pittsburgh.
Jim Schoenfeld, and we might mention that the Penguins have not played since Monday night. Their last game was Monday night, so they are well rested and have an opportunity certainly to rest the likes of a Mario Lemieux, a Rick Tocchet, and others that have been banged up. Tonight, though, they're ready. Here's the anthem. Kevin Glavin with tonight's national anthem. Jeff Rimmer, Sean Simpson rejoining you here, and it's Don Beaupre in the nets tonight.
Well, you say it in every playoff, Jeff. Goaltending always a key. Donnie Beaupre has had good success here in Pittsburgh. His team has been playing well in front of him. All they're asking is Donnie Beaupre make the routine saves and sometimes make the big one. At the other end, we have Tommy Barrasso, and hey, this guy's a veteran of the National Hockey League playoffs, but I think the key for the Capitals here, Jeff, getting pressure in front of Barrasso, getting involved, getting in his face. Sometimes gets a little irritable, try to throw him off his game.
Idea is to certainly throw Barrasso off his game early, Sean. You're absolutely right. If you can get to Barrasso early, and you can make the analogy between the starting goaltender tonight, Barrasso, and a starting pitcher. Get to the pitcher early, get him off his game. Barrasso tends to get stronger as games continue.
And it's always such a mystery how teams are going to come out in a playoff. You mentioned Pittsburgh being how the crowd plays in favor to the Penguins and how they react in the first 5 minutes.
Eddie Johnson behind the Pittsburgh bench. Jim Schoenfeld, his opposite number behind the Capitals bench. We are set for the face-off. Our referee for this evening's game, Dan Maruelli, Ron Asseltine, and Ray Scampanello, the linesman. Hunter and Francis set for the face-off, and Stanley Cup action here on Paramount 20 is underway. Caps win the draw. Hatcher steps up to center. Rolls it in. He and Johansson paired on the back line. It is Hunter out there with, and we've got a quick line change with Jones and Ridley coming over after Hunter won the opening faceoff. Caps aggressive in the offensive zone. Quick shot deflected wide of the net. Johansson in off the point. Throws it behind the net. Hatcher fires from a sharp angle. That one blocked. Rebound following through. There's a backhand shot. Comes to Rick Tocchet on the right wing. The outlet pass for Francis. Picked off by Randy Burridge, who backhands it back in the Pittsburgh zone. Mike Ridley, left wing. Throws it behind the net. This is Kevin Stevens reunited with Lemieux and Tocchet. And already we've had both teams jockeying at their benches. Mike Ridley, right wing, at center, rolls it wide of the net. Back to play, Larry Murphy. The Penguins backliner bangs it on the boards. Played by Poulin, fired wide, low on the glove side. The Caps, the aggressors here in the early moments of the hockey game. Washington winning the season series 2-1. One game ended up at a tie, and the last game here between the two clubs, March the 15th. Washington won in overtime. Randy Burridge with a hat trick, including the winner inside the first minute of the extra session, and that's something that Jim Schoenfeld hammered home to the players. The Capitals were able to beat Pittsburgh in the regular season series. Slaney backhands it out of the zone, sends it in deep. Hustling back for it, Shell Samuelson will touch up, and it's an icing call against Washington.
Simple play along the boards on that last rush. First of all, Capitals have looked very sharp so far in the hockey game, but as Jágr was hauled down by Riki right there, as in any series, like goaltending, the officiating is going to play a big key in this series, Jeff. How closely the officials call the clutching and grabbing. Of course, the slower the pace of the game is, the better it'll be for the Capitals. So we'll wait and see how things go. A good sign, though, as Riki hauled down Jágr in the neutral zone.
Jim Schoenfeld behind the Washington bench. Schoenfeld coaching the team through the final 37 games, 19 wins, 12 losses, and 6 ties. Talks in terms of team unity. It says the Capitals can play better as a unit than the Penguins, who certainly have individual stars much greater than Washington's. Hatcher deals it on the right wing. This is Kristich out there with Pivonka and Junot. Junot can't get a stick on it. Played by Francis, circles behind Barrasso. It may have been the one that we didn't see. In tight, right up against the net. Yager tried to come in short side, and Beaupre got a piece of that one.
Well, you have to be good and you have to be lucky, Jeff. And on that penalty kill, Capitals got both.
Samuelson. Final seconds ticking off in the Junot penalty. He's on his feet and out of the box. Caps have killed it off. Comes to Beaupre once more, and he shuts the door. Don Beaupre, who Coach Jim Schottfeld said, with the research the Caps did before the playoff series, seems to play better, Sean, with some rest prior to going in the goal.
Oh, without a doubt. The stretch of the regular season when Schoenfeld took over with Tabaracci and Beaupre both healthy, they were playing very well. Once Tabaracci went down, Beaupre had to take over the workload. Seemed at times to fatigue, and let's face it, when you have some close losses, mentally you get tired, physically you get worn down. So plenty of time off, and with games every 2 days, should be ready to go every night.
Samuelson right on, gets by Beaupre, but he alertly looks behind him and covers up on the puck.
Again, right there, good second effort by Beaupre coming out. Jim Schoenfeld looking calm as ever. Shots on goal so far, although the Capitals put 4:15 into the hockey game.
Pavanka and Martin Straka to the right of Don Beaupre for this draw. Straka wins it. Ulf Samuelson backhands, cutting it off as Johansson clears the zone with a pass to Junot. Junot out there with Konowalchuk and Pavanka. Junot darts down the right side, and play's been whistled down.
Called on the offside. On the right side, Konowalchuk moving in. Junot makes a quick move, tries to straddle that blue line. Unable to. Playing the right side is already Jim Schoenfeld, mixing the lines up a little bit. Konowalchuk playing with Pavanka and Junot as we look at the Pittsburgh bench. Assistant coach Brian Trottier,
who is almost 100%, has not played here down the stretch for the Penguins, but says he's feeling a lot better with those back problems now than he has for quite some time. Eddie Johnson now standing up at the Pittsburgh bench, and Eddie Johnson, of course, in his first year since returning to the hockey club after both being general manager and coach for a time, before moving on to the Hartford Whalers, now back in Pittsburgh. Penguins, certainly the team favored, and with the expectations maybe not as high, I think the Capitals can certainly pull an upset. But they've got to play well and get the goaltending that you spoke of earlier, Sean.
Kristich does a nice job of fielding it with his skate, knocking it up to the stick, and then making the quick move on Barrasso. If you look at that stick, Jeff, the Sherwood stick that Kristich is using, has had good luck with, has gone to a different pattern recently, Pat Peake's pattern. Had 2 goals with the stick in Buffalo. Here he is getting the first playoff goal.
Washington's leading goal scorer during regular season play, Dmitry Kristich, pulls the trigger to get the Caps on the board, and this their first postseason game. Hunter and Bondra draw the assists, and Washington leads 1-0, and it's swept into the zone by Slaney. Penguins out of the zone. Yager held up at the line, and it's called on the offside.
Right there, Capitals standing up at the blue line, forcing the Penguins offside. Jaromir Jagr doing a good job as usual, carrying that puck through the neutral zone.
.37 remaining, first period. We'll be back.
I saw the red light go on, and then I thought we were going to go back. Big goal there, eh? Hey? Doesn't that feed look a little different right there, Jeff? Hey?
That's a different feed. Just turn it off. Turn the TV off.
No, but I'm saying the quality of the picture, right? Doesn't that look a little different than the... They're gonna... Is that what you want to show?
Jeff Rimmer, Sean Simpson rejoining you here for playoff hockey on Paramount 20, Game 1 of the series, and the Washington Capitals out to a 1-0 lead on the goal by Dmitry Kristich from Hunter and Bondra, 4:49 into this first period. Washington's first shot at the net. They've been outshot, but not on the scoreboard, leading 1-0. The Caps again winning the regular season series, 2 wins and a tie in the 4 games. This is the first time Washington has played against Lemieux in this 93-94 campaign. Hunter deals it in front for Konowalchuk. The glove saved by Barrasso. No further play.
Dale Hunter on the first goal with a centering pass to Dmitry Kristich, and from a similar area, just off of that right side, trying to center it to Steve Konowalchuk. Barrasso grabs it out of midair.
You behind the scenes.
Well done, boys. That's a good one.
To the future at its most primitive, where Ray Liotta stars in a fantastic action adventure from the producer of Aliens and the Terminator. HBO First Look, No Escape.
Baldy, don't you?
Nick who? Forget it, Bob. He's too fucking smart for us. Look, we give up. It was him.
Yo, asteroid. Say I did it. I did it. No, I did it. No, I did it. No, I did it. No, I did it. I did it. No, I did it. I did it. No, I did it. No, I did it. 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 No, I did it.
Rambunctious here, feeling Lemieux is getting tested unfairly. Hatcher off the boards, clears the zone. Jones steps into his man. Randy Burridge and Ridley. 2-on-1. Burridge with a shot. That's blocked by Brown. Played by Tocchet with a left wing pass for Stevens. He sends it cross ice. Here come the Penguins across the line. Ramsey, the veteran defender, sends it on Beaupre, and play's been called.
We're going to get another penalty coming up, and again, it's going to be against the Capitals. Keith Jones, another tripping penalty. Joey Juneau called earlier in the period on a transition. Right here, Jones hauling down, I believe, Mario Lemieux in front of Donnie Beaupre.
6:41, the time of the Jones penalty. Penguins with their second power play.
Jones doing a good job on the shift of sticking with Lemieux right there, putting the stick. Maybe a little dive by number 66. Maruelli gives him the call. You wonder how that will work for the Capitals, Jeff. Checking Mario Lemieux, always such a key. And your first shift out there, you're Keith Jones. You try to put the stick on him, and you're called for a penalty. How do you approach it the next time? Are you more cautious, or do you go right back after him?
You think the crowd, and I think that's what Coach Schoenfeld now is saying, that the crowd might have called the penalty, because remember the first rush up ice, Maruelli didn't call a penalty. And then again the second time, with that maybe bit of a dive from Lemieux, the penalty is called. And that's what Schoenfeld had the pre-series meeting with the supervisor of this series, Pavlich. He felt that there would be some discussion with regards to how they treated Mario Lemieux. And indeed, a penalty's called there.
Caps don't want to let the Penguins set up here on the power play, Jeff. Keep trying to keep them in the neutral zone, keep them a little bit off balance.
Dave Poulin finds an opening and sends it the length of the ice. Barrasso likes to play the puck. Just leaves it behind the net. Larry Murphy will come back. 1:31 remaining in the Jones penalty. Penguins all over Beaupre in the Washington net the first time they had the man advantage, but could not score, with Beaupre coming up with a couple, at least 2 key saves from close in. This is Francis, paired on the back line with Larry Murphy. Across the line, this is Yager to the net, leaves it there for Lemieux, saved by Don Beaupre, and the rebound sent sailing wide. Francis with a shot that's deflected. Lemieux tied to redirect. Dave Poulin finds an opening, and it's back down to the Pittsburgh end. 56 seconds remaining in the penalty to Keith Jones. Here come the Penguins once more. Off ice. Kelly Miller backhand. Barrasso sets it up. Excellent penalty killing here by the Capitals. Kevin Stevens in full flight. A burst of speed. He crosses the line. Deals it on the wing for Hoggood. Stick save. Rebound. Fanning on a shot from the point. There was Mullen. Traffic in front. We've got an injured Penguin. And that's Greg Hoggood, who after the shot went sailing into the boards, and he's in a heap of trouble.
Hoggood coming off of that left wing, picking up the puck. A quick shot on Beaupre. Either lost his balance or was knocked by a Capital, but he looks to be in considerable pain. His left leg looks to be favoring. Hoggood in the lineup really just as a power play specialist, not on their #1 unit. Francis and Murphy will start off. Hoggood comes on. He's one of their 7 defensemen dressed. And Penguins dressing 11 forward, 7 defensemen for tonight's game.
A look at Joe Mullen. And there's Ed Johnson. But the point we want to make here about Mullen, Sean, is he scored just 6 goals during the Penguins' final 31 regular season games. But he scored a big goal against the Oilers in a 5-3 loss back in March. The goal, how about this one? It guaranteed Mullen a contract for next year. Mullen, if he had scored 70 goals over the last 2 seasons, was automatically guaranteed his contract renewal for next year. And that's something that doesn't necessarily happen. And it's not the norm for sure, but Mullen with the 70 goals over the last 2 seasons, now guaranteed to come back with Pittsburgh next year.
And I'll tell you, he has slowed down in this second half, but has always played well against the Capitals. And let's face it, probably one of the great goal scorers in National Hockey League history, Joey Mullen.
There's Hoggood. Mullen, by the way, 9 game-winning goals for the Penguins this season. No one has more for Pittsburgh. And Mullen had a great series against Washington in the 4 games, 3 goals and 3 helpers. Here, Beaupre will cover up with Lemieux camped right there on the edge of the crease. 11:40 left to go first period, 21 seconds remaining in the Jones penalty. Don Beaupre been very sharp here early.
No, he's looked outstanding, especially on the penalty kill. And that last play right there, Jeff, a simple one. Puck coming into Beaupre. I think a smart play. Again, the Capitals, whenever they can slow down the hockey game, Beaupre will take that puck, hold on to it, rather than playing it, taking the chance that Lemieux might take it off of someone, continue things. Slow down the pace as much as possible. Don't let this Penguin team get into their flow offensively.
Caps a man short for the next 18 seconds. Murphy tried to save at the line, unable to do so. Poulin chasing. The Penguin rear guard. Lemieux backhands it into the zone. Here's Hatcher. Chased by Tocchet. Tocchet tries to turn it over, but Johansson gets it, and he banks one off the boards, and this will effectively kill off the remaining seconds. Out of the box comes Jones, hit by Tocchet immediately, but the Caps have killed off their second penalty in the hockey game. Hatcher with some help now from Jones, who clears the zone. Greg Brown, Samuelson, left wing pass, centered for Tocchet, knocked off his stick by Hunter. Straka has it, held off by Pavanka, and Hunter moves to center. Greg Brown throws it right back in. Beaupre leads for Ricci. Rolled around on the right wing for Hunter, gets out of the zone. Flipped back in by Pittsburgh, and this one ends up behind the Washington net. Hatcher, right wing Bondra, centering pass for Junot, got caught up in his skates. Here come the Penguins again. Thomas Sandstrom unable to hang on to that puck. Capitals controlling their own zone. Shot from the point, sails wide of the net. Far side, played by Hatcher out of the zone, off a Penguin stick. Greg Brown, chased by Pavanka. Junot can't get his stick on it, comes to Cote at the point. Cote's shot stick to side, Barrasso. Pavanka tried to throw it in front, denied by Taglianetti. Caps keep it in. Cote. Junot approaching the midway point of the period. Bondra on the left wing. Barrasso got a stick, looked behind him, and it sailed wide of the open corner. Junot, Pavanka, Bondra in front. Here come the Penguins. 9:50 left to go. Washington leading 1-0. Samuelson shot, score. Oh, hit the goalpost. The crowd thought it was in. It may have hit the inside of the post and never crossed the red line. And Maruelli certainly had the view, and an excellent view, and perfect position. The Caps hang on to the lead. An icing call against Washington. We'll step aside. The Penguins are asking for a replay. And we'll be back with the Capitals leading 1-0.
You got to be good and you got to be lucky.
That's 3 posts tonight.
Yeah. Donnie got a piece of that too. He came out of the off the bench though. Nobody picked him up. Yeah, that's right off the post. For that puck to come out on that angle, it's almost impossible, you know what I mean, for it to hit the inside of the net.
Yeah.
Hey, it'd have to come almost back towards Donnie for it to ever happen. Does Donnie get a little piece of that? Yeah, just a little one. Oh. Well, if you're Barrasso, you're sitting there thinking, boy. All right.
When you're giving me a countdown, can you come a little closer? You don't have to stand on that side. Come right here and give me those. Audio, can I have a little more effects, please?
You gonna take it here, Jeff, or do you want?
Jeff Rimmer, Sean Simpson rejoining you here on Paramount 20.
Now look at that last scoring chance. Samuelson off of the bench, Jeff, gets some speed through the neutral zone, takes a pass. Here's the shot. Beaupre just getting a piece of it. You see it bounce? There it is, no doubt about it, right off of the post. Nothing Cote could do right here. Didn't have the speed to come over and guard Samuelson. Beaupre way out where he wants to be. There you see it, just a little piece of it with that catch glove stops it from going into that left corner.
Well, the Penguins have hit some posts here tonight. And as you said very early in this hockey game, you've got to be good, but you've got to be lucky. And Beaupre's been both in the first period. Hunter deals for Kyle Walchuk. Backhand shot. Barrasso the save. Saved in by Cote at the point. Kristich kicks it to the corner. Dale Hunter picks it up. Tries to throw it to the point. Swept to the wall. And shot by Ricci. Gloved on the fly by Barrasso. And there'll be no further play. 9:03 remaining. Washington 1. The Penguins no score.
Well, Jim Schoenfeld accomplishing what he wanted to do early, get a goal on Tom Barrasso. Now I'm sure he has the Penguin goaltender thinking about things. Donnie Barrasso, or I should say Donnie Beaupre at one end playing so well, making a number of key saves. On the other hand, Caps with probably just 3 or 4 quality chances. One of them they get a goal as we look at Dale Hunter out there with Kristich and Jones on that last line, put on some good pressure.
Dale Hunter drawing an assist, seems to be favoring his elbow there. That point for Dale Hunter is 52nd in postseason play, and at least for the Washington Capitals, and he's now 1 behind Scott Stevens on the all-time Capitals point scoring list. Sylvain Cote's shot, knocked down, played by McKenzie. Number 33, the former Hartford Whaler and Dallas Star, out to perhaps change the tempo of the hockey game. Number 33 for Pittsburgh. And he's playing with Francis and Yager. Slaney, right wing pass for Randy Burritt. On the turnover, Francis finds Yager, held off by Cote. Yager goes right back after it on the left wing boards, turned around by the Capitals defenseman, and Slaney moves it on the left wing boards for Jones. Saved at the line, off a stick and right into the glove of Don Beaupre. No further play with the Capitals looking at a couple of the Penguins right there in the slot.
Well, a big key right there. Keith Jones works hard along the boards, but on that last play, Jeff, puck comes around to him at the left wing. Should have had it on his stick. Instead, it hops over, goes right to Larry Murphy. Not a great shot, but still a shot on goal on a puck that you got to make sure you get out of the zone. And I'm sure Keith Lane over to talk to John Slaney. He's going to play a big key in this series, how much they can use Slaney. We've seen Nelson in 1 shift. That was a 3rd shift for Slaney playing with Cote. But if he can log 10 or 15 minutes a hockey game, that'll take some of the play off of the top 4 guys.
We should mention, Capitals not in uniform here on this 2-on-1 break. We'll tell you that in a moment. Poulin with Pavaka. The save made at the back line by Larry Murphy. And then Murphy, still with the presence of mind, makes the clearing pass to center. Johansson, though, on the turnover, finds Dave Poulin. The drop pass for Kelly Miller. Miller's shot is blocked. Miller had a 6-game point scoring streak snapped in the Caps win at Buffalo on Thursday. Still 3 goals in his last 3 games and 4 in the last 5 of regular season play. The pass for Lemieux, steps in across the line. Beaupre the save, rebound, Tocchet sails it wide, rebound, and off Lemieux, and off a Capital, and behind Don Beaupre. It's all tied up. Lemieux will get the goal as it went in off a Capital, and we're all tied 1-1.
Well, tough break for the Capitals. Transition hockey again. That's where the Penguins get their goals. Lemieux with the initial shot has presence of mind to circle behind the net. He'll bank this off of, I believe, Kevin Hatcher. Watch, he just tries to center it. There it is, right off of the right knee of Kevin Hatcher and between the legs of Donnie Beaupre. Tough bounce for the Capitals. Beaupre recovering, goes back to the post. And Lemieux, I'll tell you, whether or not he's looking for the pass, I'm sure he's just trying to center that puck, either looking for a bounce or looking for an opening, and he got the lucky bounce.
Just 22 games during the regular season for number 66. And in 11 playoff games against Washington coming in to tonight's contest, 9 goals, 17 assists for 26 points. Again, in just 11 games in postseason play against Washington. Tonight, goal number 10 against the Capitals. And for playoff numbers, Lemieux, amazing. 53 playoff goals in 61 playoff games, 116 playoff points.
And you look at Lemieux, the experience that he brings into the game, only 61 playoff games played. The leader on the Penguins roster and the assistant coach on the bench beside Eddie Johnson is Brian Trottier, 219 games. Look over to the Capitals side, and they have Dale Hunter and Dave Poulin, the only two over 100 games. 126 for Hunter and 116 for Dave Poulin.
Well, a fluke goal is tied up a hockey game. Mario Lemieux, who's told us today that his back now better than it's been at any point this season. And he plans on playing every playoff game. There was certainly some concern as to whether or not he would be able to play back-to-back games. But Lemieux says he's ready and hasn't felt any better than he does right now in this particular National Hockey League season.
Jim Schoenfeld again switching things up. Joey Juneau out there has this time Steve Konowalchuk on the left side. Peter Bondra on the right. Previous to that had Pavanka out there. So Jim just trying to switch things around as much as possible. Try to get Juneau going. Try to get the offense going.
We were going to tell you the Capitals scratchers tonight. Not Gress, Jim Johnson, who's made a remarkable recovery from a torn ligament in his knee. He's back skating, still a ways away from returning, though. Also not playing, Todd Krieger out with an ankle injury. Sean Anderson, an ankle injury, as that one sails over top of the net. Not Gress, coach's decision. Berglund, Peak, and Jason Allison, along with Rick Tabaracci, will back up tonight. Byron Defoe, winning goalie in Buffalo, the 3-2 win, and he had a big night in the victory over the Sabres. Darting down the right wing, this is McEachran, pulls up, right circle, looking for Doug Brown. Capitals, it's their turn. Juneau overskates the puck. Konowalchuk now deals to Bondra. Bondra's shot denied by Sandstrom, rolls into the corner. Konowalchuk held up by Ulf Samuelsson. Konowalchuk, who has certainly played outstanding hockey for Schoenfeld down the stretch. Bondra right wing, throws to the corner. Konowalchuk, Juneau. Konowalchuk from a sharp angle. His shot stopped by Samuelsson. Played behind the boards by Bondra. Bondra now tried to throw it in front. Cote gloves it ahead. And it's on the turnover played by Pittsburgh, so no whistle. Sylvain Cote, as both teams change on the fly, tried to deal ahead to Berube with his first shift. Number 27 up there with Hunter and Kristich. It's an icing call against the Capitals. The faceoff back in the Washington zone. 16-18 remaining in the first period. Tied 1-1 here on Paramount 20. Craig Ramsey, the former Buffalo Sabre, and I shouldn't say Craig Ramsey, but Mike Ramsey. And he is a former teammate of Jim Schoenfeld.
Does not get a lot of ice time, particularly at even strength. Will play alongside Larry Murphy, killing penalties. But much like the Capitals, the Penguins go with 4 defensemen. Taglianetti along with Murphy. The 2 Samuelsson. Ramsey will play in once in a while, along with Brown and Hawgood. Caps on the other side. 4 have moved Slaney in and out. And we've seen Todd Nelson on a couple of times. He was on for the Capitals' first goal, and on that last shift looked pretty good, holding up Sandstrom at the Caps blue line.
Dale Hunter wins the draw, played by Pavanka, shovels the backhand to Johansson. Caps come out of their own zone. Kristich couldn't get a stick on it, played by Jágr, chased by Hunter. Hunter finishes his check on the Pittsburgh forward. Pavanka now tries to deal it. This is Riki off his stick. Mullen and Riki get tied up. Play continued. Jaromir Jágr with a burst of speed out of the zone. Jágr left wing and across the line. Looks for Brown. It's tipped off his stick. Played by Mullen. Jágr out of the corner. Fires it on. Rebound. Scores! Ramsey. And it's 2-1 Pittsburgh.
Well, right there again off of the transition was a 3-on-2 for the Penguins. Michael Pavanka did a great job of getting back, picking up Mullen. It was Mullen who took the pass from Jágr. No scoring chance. Then Yager circling out of the right corner with the shot. Donnie Beaupre seemed to lose this as it caught him up high. Bounces down to his right. And there's Mullins skating past Joe Reiki and knocking it past Donnie Beaupre, and the Penguins lead for the first time in the hockey game. There's that rush, and there's Pavanka hustling back, took out Brown, no scoring chance, and there's Mullen now going to work the give and go. The shot by Yager, Mullen out of the corner. Not much Donnie Beaupre could do right there. Had no idea where that puck was after Yager shot it.
Well, we talked about Joe Mullen earlier. The fact that he was able to score 3 goals and an equal number of helpers in the 4 previous games during the regular season, and pulling the trigger for his first playoff goal, and Pittsburgh with the lead.
Now you expect with Mullen this time of year to step his game up. Had a stretch where he was not playing well, but come the end of the regular season, that almost is a blessing in disguise for players that are in slumps. It gives you the opportunity to have a real fresh start, and Mullen's made the most of it.
Hatcher, wrist shot. Barrasso the save, and it on the rebound hopped over the stick of Ridley, who was camped on the doorstep awaiting that rebound. Slaney leading the Capitals up ice. Slaney rolls it wide of the net. Off on the far side, Taglianetti. Oh, there's a hard hit there on Ridley. Centering pass for Jones. On the turnover, comes right back to the Capitals, Keith Jones. Jones to Burridge. Burridge in tight. Oh, and Barrasso able to get a piece of that one. Randy Burridge, a hat trick last time these teams played here in Pittsburgh in a Washington overtime win. 2-1. The Penguins lead, and they head up ice once more. Larry Murphy across the line, and it's called on the offside. 4:50 left to go, first period here in Pittsburgh. Lemieux and the Penguins by 1. Mr. Audio, can I have a little effects, please? Bill? I need a little effects.
Hey, Bill. Okay, never mind. No, I was gonna say Nelson, but I'll do that after. It's no problem. He's on the ice, but I'm gonna do the promo. That's okay. You sure you're gonna get him? You hear that, Jeff?
I didn't hear that.
We're gonna get Nelson in this next one. I just want to point out that he was a former Penguin, and
he was formerly in the Penguins organization.
Yeah, played one game.
Yeah, wasn't much of a Penguin.
Well, still, you want to save.
Jeff Rimmer, Sean Simpson rejoining you here on Paramount 20 from Pittsburgh.
Look at Todd Nelson, recently called up from the Portland Pirates of the American Hockey League, former farmhand of the Pittsburgh Penguins, and although he did not spend much time with the Penguins, only one game, being drafted by a club and getting the opportunity to come back and play against them in the playoffs means an awful lot to him.
Little extra incentive, I would think, Sean?
Without a doubt, and I'm sure 2 weeks ago it's something he did not expect.
Samuelson sweeps it away from Junot. Here comes Pittsburgh once more. Sandstrom on the turnover. Bondra darts down the right wing and across the line. Leaves for Junot. Junot right circle. Bondra deflects it. Barrasso there to make the save, and here comes Pittsburgh again. McEachran circles at center. McEachran flips it high in the air, looks right wing, and it's called on the offside. Also knocked down by Straka with a high stick, but the faceoff will come back out of the Pittsburgh side of center. 4:10 remaining, 2-1 Pittsburgh.
Tommy Barrasso with a good save off of that last rush. Good work by Joey Juneau, doing what he does best, getting the puck to people in high-scoring areas. And I thought Peter Bondra did a good job, too, putting it to Juneau, driving to the net. Juneau put it right on his stick. He tipped it. Tommy Barrasso makes a right pad save, but chalk it up as a good scoring chance for the two.
Penguins coach Eddie Johnson reuniting the top 2 lines. Of course, the Lemieux line with Tocchet and Stevens, and we've got the Francis line with Yager and Mullen. Their third line not much worse off than the top 2 as far as offensive production. And McEachran is part of that line. Play called here. And we'll have a penalty. Booking the call, and this will be the first penalty against Pittsburgh, giving the Capitals their first power play opportunity of the evening.
Always important to cash in on those power play opportunities, but even better for the Capitals. Ronnie Francis really the top penalty killer for the Penguins. Here's the hook on Dmitry Kristich. It looked like Kristich lost his balance on his own. Either way, it is a penalty, and the Penguins lose their top penalty killer, so that's good for the Capitals' power play.
Washington's power play finished 18th best in the league. They scored 2 power play goals against Buffalo Thursday to finish up with 70 in 386 opportunities, 18.1% proficiency. On the power play, the Capitals just 3 goals in 22 chances against Pittsburgh in the 4 regular season games. And it is Hunter, Pavanka, Junot up front. Hatcher, Johansson paired on the point. Penguins win the draw. And it's Doug Brown to the line, but not out. Samuelson holds off Pavanka. Hunter has it for Washington. 3:40 left to go, first period. Here's Johansson dealing for Hatcher. Hatcher now rolls it into the zone. Unable to trap it was Barrasso. Left wing boards. Hunter can't control. Ulf Samuelson. Chopped by Doug Brown. Saved at the line by Hatcher with some help from Pavanka. And play whistle down. Brown all over top of that one. And we'll have a face-off inside the Pittsburgh zone. 3:19 remaining first period. 1:25 in the Francis penalty. Caps first on the board with a goal from Dmitry Kristich. At 4:49, the Penguins scored twice in a little over 2 minutes. Lemieux's first and Mullins first, and it's 2-1.
Playoff tickets are available now for Thursday and Saturday night's game against the Penguins. So come out and root the Capitals on to victory. For playoff tickets, call the Capitals office now at 301-386-7080. That's games A and B. Thursday, April 21st, and Saturday, April 23rd. Start time 7:30 for both of those contests.
Joey Junot from the drive. Lays it along the boards. Out of the zone, Hatcher. Johansson sends it back in. Barrasso plays all the way down the ice, and the Capitals will have to come back and regroup in their own zone. 1:08 left on the power play.
It's another thing you have to work against with the Penguins, dumping the puck in, keep it away from the goaltender.
Kristich drops it to Hatcher. Kristich in the corner. Comes to Junot at the point. Hatcher on the half board, pitching in. Traffic in front of Barrasso. Kristich and Hatcher playing catch. Junot between the circles. Sandstrom breaks it up. Jones towards the net, sails wide, picked up by Kristich, hit by Taglianetti. Joey Junot tried to send to the point. Penguins break it up. Here's Sandstrom at center. Sandstrom rolls it in the rest of the way. 27 seconds left in the Washington power play. The crowd showing their pleasure here with the Penguins' effort in this penalty-killing situation. Barrasso on the Bondra shot will hold on.
Well, Barrasso recovering well. Capitals scoring on their first shot on goal. Peter Bondra again with a shot on goal. Feed from Joey Junot comes off to the left side. Barrasso getting into position. Sees that all the way.
It's a 1-goal hockey game. 2:10 remaining in the first. 16 seconds left in the Francis penalty. Tom Barrasso certainly had other things on his mind than hockey in the last week or two. It's been disclosed here in the Pittsburgh papers in recent days that his daughter, Ashley, 6-year-old daughter who had a form of leukemia and went into remission, has had a kidney problem here of late. And who could blame Barrasso for thinking of everything but hockey, and had a couple of games last week when he was less than sharp-shot. Cote at the point. The shot is blocked and the zone is clear.
Mentioning that about Barrasso, and I guess it depends on how the athlete looks at it. On one hand, it takes your mind off of hockey. You might play better, or the game might go down the tubes. If I'm Tommy Barrasso, I bet it'll make him play better.
Well, it certainly didn't last week, and your point's well taken. But Barrasso very concerned about Ashley's health, and they've got some good news in recent days, and you're right, that will certainly settle him down and get his mind back on these playoffs for Pittsburgh. Bondra, right wing. Jágr picks it up. Penguins back at full strength. Jágr now. First across the line. Jágr top of the circle. Deals to Francis. Poked off his stick. Saved at the line by Murphy. Right wing Mullen. Mullen towards the net. Knocked down by Cote. And it's fired up into the crowd. The face-off in the Washington zone with 1:10 remaining.
Ronnie Francis, number 10 for the Pittsburgh Penguins, finished second on the team in scoring this year, was named their MVP, carrying the bulk of the load at center ice with Mario Lemieux missing so much. Usually plays second fiddle to number 66 when he is in the lineup and healthy, but this year asked to play not only good defensive hockey, kill the penalties, but play the power play as well and chip in offensively. He did that, finishing with 96 points on the season, second only to Jarmo Jagr, who had 99, and that's the first time since 1983-84, Jeff, that the Penguins have not had a 100-point man on their roster. My mistake, actually. Francis finished with 93 points, not 96.
Great human interest story involving Ron Francis that was the feature of a lengthy story in the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette today. We'll tell you about a little bit later on. Francis, according to his coach, who traded him from Hartford to Pittsburgh while he was still Hartford, Eddie Johnson, the general manager there, calls Francis the MVP and the player's player, as voted by his teammates most valuable, was Ron Francis. Jarmo Jagr. How much talent does this guy have, Sean?
Well, an awful lot. And a quick point about Eddie Johnson, that's one of the things he had to do when he took over the Pittsburgh Penguins. When he traded Ronnie Francis from the Hartford Whalers, had questioned not only Francis's on-ice ability, but even questioned how much character and leadership he had as a Hartford Whaler. Well, I'm sure he proved himself with 2 Stanley Cups. So first thing Johnson did when he took over was went and talked to Francis, smoothed things out. And hey, let's face it, if Johnson wants to stay as the coach, that's one of the people he needs to be working in his favor.
Story in the paper today, and we'll get to the human interest part a little later, that the story said, well, Francis maybe not likes today Eddie Johnson, but he certainly is playing for him and respects him as a coach. And that's all you ask as a coach, is to have that player's respect. Scramble in front, cleared by Samuelsson, and it's out of the zone. Johansson banks it back in. It'll be played by Barrasso. We mentioned earlier, loves to play the puck, and he sends it back into the Washington net. Jagr all over Hatcher. The Caps team captain still able to make the play. The right wing pass for Jones with Pavanka. Across the line, Jones, the wrist shot, the save off the stick, and up into the glove of Barrasso, and sticks get high with the Capitals charging the net. Guarded by Barrasso.
And they're tying up with Taglianetti, driving into the net. Keith Jones quickly jumps in there.
16.2 seconds remaining in this period. The Penguins saw the Capitals take the lead early, but Washington has stormed, or rather the Capitals took the lead and the Penguins have stormed back, but Washington right now putting some pressure on Barrasso here in the late minutes of this first period.
We really, so far in this period, have not seen a lot of the physical stuff as Dale Hunter heads to the dressing room. Peter Taglianetti will do the same thing. We got to look at it, a little pushing and shoving, trying to get position in front of Tommy Barrasso. But I can tell you, although it's not a real physical series in the sense the Capitals against the Pittsburgh Penguins, anytime you're playing a team every second day, every game gets more and more important in a series. I'm sure we'll see more of the pushing and shoving, more of the talking after the whistle.
These former Patrick Division rivals, of course, no longer involved in the same division, but still very much rivals here in the Eastern Conference of the National Hockey League.
Surprising after the whole playoff shakeup, going to a different format. Many of the matchups on both the east and west side ended up being people playing out of the old divisions of last year. You look at the Rangers and the Islanders meeting. The other side, Dallas playing against St. Louis.
How about Montreal and Boston again?
Calgary against the Vancouver Canucks.
Larry Murphy. Samuelsson. Centering pass off the stick of Francis, played by Hatcher. Backpedals inside his own zone. Hatcher turning away from Francis, and this will pretty well do it for the first period of play as the horn goes to end the first 20 minutes of Stanley Cup action here in Pittsburgh. The Washington Capitals struck early. Dmitry Kristich beating Tom Barrasso, but then Lemieux's even strength goal at 12-10 tied it up at 1. A little over 2 minutes later, 14-14 to be exact, Joe Mullen with his first of the playoffs, and the Penguins skate off the ice, leading the Washington Capitals by a score of 2-1. We'll step aside, and when we return, a visit with Caps Vice President and General Manager David Poyle.
But, hey, I think the Penguins' transition game showed in that period, and they got 2 goals off of it.
All right, the Capitals first on the scoreboard, and it was Dmitry Kristich pulling the trigger. Sean, why don't you describe it for us?
Well, the Capitals' first real shot on goal. Puck will go to the corner, centered by Dale Hunter. There's Kristich taking off of his skate, putting it onto the stick, made the move to the backhand and beat Barrasso.
Washington led 1-0, 4:49 the time of the goal. Kristich, first of the playoffs. Hunter and Bondra draw the assists, and Washington led by a score of 1-0. Now the Penguins, as David Poyle pointed out, and we did during that first period, score a fluke goal that goes in actually off Kevin Hatcher. The goal credited to Mario Lemieux, and we're all tied up 1-1.
The only way you can really fault the Capitals on this is Jim Schoenfeld's pointed out the transition hockey. And this is off of a rush, Lemieux just trying to center it. And I'll tell you, I'm sure he just not trying to bank it directly off of Hatcher, but hey, there's a crowd in front, just tried to throw the puck, ends up going off of a Capital.
Lemieux's first of the playoffs. Rick Tocchet draws the assist, setting up Mario for that one. And at 12:10, we were tied 1-1. The Penguins started carrying the play from this point on, and Don Beaupre made a couple of big saves, and just 2 minutes, a little over 2 minutes later, they take the lead on a Joe Mullen goal.
Well, again, it was off of a rush, not directly like the Lemieux goal, but off of the rush. Mullen is picked up by Palanca. They come out of the corner. There's a shot by Yager. Mullen had made that pass, and hey, he simply just beat Ricci out of the corner. Capital defender has to keep behind Mullen, stop him from getting those shots in the slot.
Mullen's first of the playoffs. Yager and Brown draw the assists, 14-14, and Pittsburgh led by a score of 2-1. The first intermission Capitals highlights package sponsored by Express Mail Metro Service from the U.S. Postal Service. It's not too late for Express Mail Metro Service from the U.S. Postal Service. Express Mail Metro, we deliver to you. Well, Sean, as we get set here for the second period, what are you expecting?
Well, I expect the Capitals hopefully to come back out with that focus, although the Penguins took over in the second half of that period. Try to rechannel things, come out, continue to work hard, spend a little more time in the Penguin zone, and stop that transition game. Have a good third man, give the defense some support. Because you notice in that period, the defense were backing off of the blue line. That plays right into the hands of the Penguins. That enables them to get those 3-on-2 rushes and the 4-on-3s that they want.
A look now at the first intermission stats here on Paramount 20, brought to us by Roy Rogers. Stop by Roy's today for a delicious breakfast at a terrific new low price. Penguins lead 2-1, out shooting Washington 15-12. Washington 0 for 1 in the power play. The Penguins were 0 for 2. We'll be back second period ahead on Paramount 20. Game 1 between the Penguins and the Caps on WDCA. Hello, we're back.
There they are. They're the key guys. Quality guys.
Bill? Hello, Bill? Yep, I got him. Is that added after the Buffalo, New Jersey? So we're doing the Islanders, Rangers first, then St. Louis, Dallas, then Buffalo, New Jersey. Right. All right. Mic test 1, 2, 3, 4. Hello test 1, 2, 3, 4.
Back here in Pittsburgh, ready to start the second period. Sean Simpson along with Jeff Rimmer.
Jeff Rimmer, Sean Simpson rejoining you here on Paramount 20. The teams have returned to the ice while we have this moment. Let's get caught up to date on the Giant Food Out of Town scoreboard. This afternoon and tonight, we've got Stanley Cup playoff action. Game 1 from Madison Square Garden in New York. And it was the Rangers 6, Islanders no score. Messier leading the way with a goal and 2 helpers. St. Louis and Dallas with the Stars winning 5-3. Kent Gilchrist had a couple of goals in that one. Buffalo and New Jersey in the second period. And the score there, 1-0 Buffalo on a goal by Simon, assisted by Howard Chuck. And last night, in case you missed it, Montreal falls to Boston in the first game. 3-2 the final, the Bruins victorious.
Look at Mario Lemieux, 1 goal in that period. Ice time for the key players from the Penguins. Lemieux played 8 minutes and 48 seconds in that first period, Jeff. Francis was the leading Penguin at 9 minutes and 17 seconds. And for the Capitals, look at that, Kevin Hatcher, 11 minutes and 38 seconds.
Wow.
So an awful lot of ice time, on pace for about 35 minutes in the hockey game.
We're set for the draw to begin the second period. Pittsburgh, 9 quality scoring opportunities. Quality shots at Don Beaupre. For the Capitals, a total of 6 quality shots. Washington won on the face-off category, 19-12. Second period underway. Johansson pinned along the boards, kicks it ahead for Kelly Miller. Miller left wing for Poulin, races after it in the corner. Poulin centering. Pass knocked down by Samuelsson, gloves it ahead. On the left wing boards, Kelly Miller can't get a stick on it, and it's Yager passing to Samuelsson. The give and go now. The pass to Francis. Francis with a shot. Backhanded by Samuelsson, wide with Beaupre. Coming off the cut off the angle. Hatcher steps aside Francis. Here's a glove save by Barrasso, and he'll hold on.
Well, Francis upset at the referee right there. Kevin Hatcher with a couple of slashes in the neutral zone, pinching up off of that left side, takes the puck from Francis. Moves in, does not have a lot of time, but does get a good snapshot off. And a nice save right there by Barrasso. And look where he is, about 8 feet. There he was hauling down Francis in the neutral zone. Moving in off the off wing, a good quick snapshot. There's Barrasso, 8 to 10 feet outside of that blue crease area, out challenging, cutting down the angle.
One thing, Sean, that David Poyle said to us in the first intermission was that the Washington Capitals have got to stay out of the penalty box. This power play, 33% for Pittsburgh during regular season against Washington, and that was without Mario Lemieux, and they had 8 shots on the power play in that first period on 2 power play opportunities.
Not only did they have 8 shots on goal, but you can thank Donnie Beaupre for the fact that they did not score. He made a number of great saves. Probably out of their 9 quality chances, 5 or 6 came on the power play.
From the draw, Caps win it. Connor Walchuk, Hatcher steps up, and the shot is blocked by Brown, who falls in front of it. The zone is clear. Move back in by Johansson. This is Greg Hager. Shaken up in the first period, but still out there, so obviously nothing serious. As Stevens sends cross ice for Lemieux. Here's a break. Murphy off the point. Murphy to the net. Don Beaupre around. In front was Stevens, and they couldn't get the puck to him. Give Johansson credit for his save there. Don Beaupre had a position, but they couldn't feed the puck in front with Stevens in front of an empty net. Larry Murphy to the point, but not out. Johansson throws it behind. Barrasso will play it, banking it off the board. Left wing for Stevens. Hatcher pinching in, holds it off. Caps unable to keep it in. Bouncing puck played by Junot. Joey Junot circles at center, away from Lemieux. Gives it to Hatcher, right back to Junot. Junot across the line, fakes the shot, sends it ahead, deflected wide. Peter Bondra behind the net, held off by Larry Murphy. Comes free to Taglianetti, right back to Murphy. Banked off the boards, picked up by Junot. Junot setting up, deals to the point. Ricci with traffic in front. Knocked down by Barrasso. Rebound is played, and we've got an injured Capital. That's Sylvain Cote.
Cote catching a high stick in front of the net, pinching in from the point. Be interesting to see what the call is here by Maruelli. Looks like Cote is bleeding.
The Caps can ill afford Cote to be seriously hurt here. He has been, without question, Washington's MVP this season, and certainly a pillar of strength on the back line. But there he is in the slot down and getting some assistance from Stan Wong. On the replay, let's see if we can pick it up. Is it a high stick or is it the puck that hit him? Fortunately, Cote now appears to be regaining his senses with some assist from both Wong, Stan, and Maruelli. I think anytime you get hit in the face, Sean, it kind of shakes you up. You obviously worry around that eye area. But Cote off on his own strength, and that's good news.
Well, you get a stick over the bridge of the nose. Usually get some tearing in the eyes. First thought is to drop down. Here's the last play by Lemieux in the neutral zone, feeding it to Larry Murphy, wide open, skating through. Beaupre will make a good effort and get a piece of this as Murphy goes to the backhand. No, Murphy just rolling off of his stick. But watch Johansson, he made the big play
without
as
question.
Murphy came around, making sure, because if he did not block that pass by Murphy, Stevens would have been all alone and it would have been 3-1 Penguins. Tuesday night at 7:30, the Capitals return here to the Civic Arena and face off against the Penguins in Game 2 of the Eastern Conference quarterfinals. So turn into Paramount 20 for exciting playoff action. That's Tuesday right here at 7:30.
Samuelson off the board. Knocked down by Bondra. He and Straka collide. Ricci from center. Hammers it in. Swept out of the zone by McEachran. Johansson. All kinds of ice time here. First paired with Hatcher, now out there with Ricci. Slaney and Nelson, 5th and 6th defensemen, employed by Schottfeldt tonight. Nice move by Junot, then turns it over. Straka, Sandstrom, McEachran. He's got some great wheels. Sandstrom, right wing, sends it in front, stick to side by Don Beaupre. Johansson for Junot, carrying it up ice. In across the line, this is Kristich. Kristich drops it for Bondra. In front, Ridley's backhander goes wide on the glove side. Evan Hatcher loses the puck to Murphy. It's out of the zone. Held off there by Kristich. Off of pad and played by Larry Murphy.
Kristich on that last rush, Jeff, coming off of the right side, taking the hit to make the play. Knew he was going to get hit, but still was able to dish it off.
Taglianetti with Murphy on the back line. Mullen backhands it out of the zone. Francis and Yager hustle after it. The Caps play it back in, and it's Taglianetti. Throws it on the wing. Francis for Mullen. Mullen across the line. Mullen now tries to walk in front, sails it wide with a low shot on the glove side. Burrick held off by Francis, and the Capitals clear it. Chopped ahead there by Ramsey. Played by Kevin Hatcher. 16-12 left to go, second period. A scoreless second after the Penguins outscored Washington 2-1 in the first. Hatcher around the net. Away from Lemieux. Stevens sends one wide. Andy Burridge left wing. The outlet pass picked up by Jones at center, and he'll roll it into the Pittsburgh zone. This is Barrasso. Playing it off the boards and back to center. Neutral ice play. This is Ricci. Right wing for Kelly Miller across the line. Miller gets by Ramsey. Falls but makes the play to Hunter, who's held off by Samuelson. Those two certainly no strangers. Joey Junot seeing a lot of ice time here in the second period, but it's Poulin out there now with Hunter and Kelly Miller. Miller had it knocked off his stick. We're going to get a penalty here for holding the stick. 15:22 remaining, second period on Paramount 20. The Caps trail by 1 with a penalty upcoming to Ramsey.
No.
Stevens gets the game. Excuse me. Jeff Rimmer and Sean Simpson rejoining you here on Paramount 20. We said Ramsey got the penalty for holding the stick. It was Stevens that got the penalty. Holding the stick, the call from referee Marawelli. And Washington will have a power play. They've been outshot 8-1.
There was a collision in the corner between Stevens and Hunter, and you can see the left arm of Stevens has a hold on Dale Hunter as he pins him up against the glass.
One penalty and one power play for Washington in the first period. Of course, there were the coincidental penalties late in the period. Capitals certainly would like to get some more shots directed at Barrasso here with the extra man. Slaney, Junot. Hatcher across the line, fakes the shot, moves in on Samuelson from the right wing, banks it across the ice. Pavanka rolls it to Hatcher at the right point. Back into the corner, Samuelson hit by the Capitals' Pavanka. Hunter is in there. No damage will be done here, and the face-off will be to the left of Barrasso.
Well, no better opportunity for the Capitals now. Minute 24 left on the power play to try to tie up this hockey game. What they need is for people to start putting the puck in when they get those great passes from Joey Juneau. No better place than on the power play. Juneau's getting the puck onto people's stick in that first period and early in this second. Now it's up to his wingers, whether it be Pavanka and Hunter or at even strength, Bonder and Kristich, to start putting some behind Barrasso.
Joey Juneau, since the trading deadline and acquired in the Ally Frady trade, played in 11 games for Washington, picking up 13 points, 5 goals, and 8 helpers.
And although it's only his second full season in the National Hockey League, this is actually his third NHL playoffs. Joined the Boston Bruins after the 1992 Albertville Olympics, coming off of Team Canada.
Saved at the line there by Slaney. Now throws it cross ice. Hunter after it. Dale Hunter for Washington. 1:14 left on the power play. Hunter. Junot. Camped at the edge of the crease there was Pavanka. Junot now. Now Hunter steps in front of Barrasso. Junot hustles after it. Shell Samuelson with a slash, and then on the turnover, flips it high in the air, off the glass, and back into the Washington end. Caps change up the power play unit. The penalty killing unit, likewise for Pittsburgh, is shuffled. So with the deck shuffled, the Caps back into the offensive zone, and it's Slaney for Hatcher. Cross ice, Junot picks it up off the boards. Traffic in front, and it's Jones trying to screen Barrasso. This one deflected up into the crowd, and with 37 seconds remaining, another face-off for the Pittsburgh end.
Randy Burge hopping on that second unit, driving to the net looking for a pass. Does not come to him. John Slaney as well, Jeff, getting an opportunity to play some time on the power play, and that's good. Slaney is a good offensive player. Had a nice feed in Buffalo the other night to Dmitry Kristich from the right point. At the same time, we talked about the ice time that goes to Cote, Hatcher, Johansson, and Riki. Anytime you can slide in Nelson or Slaney, this is an opportunity to take some of that ice away from them, rest them up for even strength and the penalty killing.
Mike Ridley and Francis will do the honors. Top of the circle to the left of Barrasso. Francis wins it cleanly. Played by Larry Murphy, and he hammers it right on Don Beaupre. 13:50 left second period. 27 seconds of the Stevens penalty, and it's Hatcher away at center. Hatcher first across the line, deals it high and wide. Gets caught up in the netting. Hatcher throws it back in front, and Lemieux will roll it down, bouncing it all the way where Beaupre will leave it before sending it off the boards. Calle Johansson with 8 seconds left. In the penalty to Stevens. Dealt ahead. Jones on the left wing. Saved at the line by Riki. Stevens out of the box. Caps throw it in front. That's Mike Ridley off of Penguin, and Lemieux leads the rush up ice. Left wing for Stevens. Off the boards, played by the Capitals. And on the quick transition, it's Jones and Burridge across the line. Jones chops at it. This one finds the crowd, and there'll be no further play.
Mario Lemieux on that last rush, Jeff. What the Capitals need to do a little better job of is not backing off of the blue line so quickly.
Washington trailing 2-1 here in period 2. Trump.
No, I wouldn't have spoken if I knew it was a commercial. I would have. Oh no, that's okay. I'm just saying. I want to mention is that one of the things that we had talked about when Terry Murray was coaching was everybody was backing off of the blue line. When Jim took over, remember he said getting a third man and it's all confidence. Well, in this game, this is exactly what they're reverting back to. You know, everybody's backing off of the blue line and not giving anybody an opportunity. That's the last thing. That's just not being confident against a team like Pittsburgh. You want me to should I throw that in when we get back?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Hopefully we'll have time here.
Back on Paramount 20 in Pittsburgh, Jeff Rimmer and Sean Simpson.
Point about the defenseman standing up at the blue line. When Jim Schoenfeld took over this hockey club, Jeff, that's what he really cautioned the players to start doing. Defenseman pinching, making sure the forward is there. It's all confidence, but so far in this hockey game, Caps have reverted back to that old style, and the defensemen are giving that up every time.
Don Beaupre, away from Stevens, throws it on the right wing. Lemieux squeezed out, shot by Samuelson, rebound thrown in front. Charging the net in front of Don Beaupre was Kevin Stevens, but in the quick transition, the Caps off ice, and play's been whistled down. The net's off the Marsh pegs, so they'll bring it all the way back.
Very close call again by the Penguins. From behind the goal line, the centering pass, Kevin Stevens in his usual position, looking for the rebound. But a good second effort by Beaupre to make sure that puck got past Stevens, and even give him a little shove with the catching hand to knock the legs out from underneath him. Slaney piles in. Net's knocked off, and that's why we get the whistle.
12:43 left to go, second period. Washington trailing 2-1. Penguins, after spotting the Capitals a one-goal lead in the first, came back with 2. Later on in the first period, Don Beaupre, after a rest during the final few regular season games, back in the nets tonight, and has certainly played well. Kelly Miller bumped off the puck. Connor Walchuk in the corner. Looks to deal it in front. Denied by Samuelson to the line and out. This is Slaney. Cross ice for Hatcher. Hatcher, right wing boards. Kelly Miller across the line. Miller looks cross ice for Poulin. Poulin now deals to the point. Slaney dumps it behind. Moved by Barrasso to the left wing, and Stevens will clear it. Slaney at center. Throws this one up into the crowd, trying to dump it back in the Pittsburgh zone. No further play. 12:08 left, second period.
Capitals actually getting the matchup they want against the Lemieux line, having Dave Poulin out there. Played his best hockey down the stretch, and let's face it, Jeff, when the Capitals signed him last summer as a free agent, what they were looking for was leadership in the regular season, but hey, come playoff time, a veteran of 116 playoff games, many times against the Capitals as a Philadelphia Flyer, then the Boston Bruins. This is a time of year where they want him to step up, continue to play well, and continue to help the young players and use that great leadership qualities that he has.
Poulin, after missing some time in December and January, has come back and played very effectively for Coach Schoenfeld and the Capitals. And they're looking for him, as you point out, Sean, and so rightfully so. They're looking for him to step it up here in the Stanley Cup playoffs. It's that kind of leadership that teams look for in postseason play. High sticking the call here. Looks like Ricky will get the gate and give Pittsburgh another power play. Something the Capitals have got to stay away from.
You can't see it on the camera, but I just touched Jeff in the shoulder, and that's about as hard as Ricky hit Sandstrom right here, pretty much coasting into him. And hey, I like to see that. Capital defenseman pinching up. I thought it looked like a pretty clean hit by Joe Ricky right in front of the Capitals bench. Merrill does not think so, and that'll put the Penguins onto their third power play.
It's a clean hit that you threw at me here in the broadcast booth as well.
Well, and it not only was the fact that it was a clean hit, but again, there really wasn't that much contact made.
Eddie Johnson behind the Pittsburgh bench. Got some great stats here on Eddie Johnson. He last coached the team in 82-83. His top forwards then, Doug Shedden, who played some time in Baltimore, led the Penguins with 67 points. Kehoe had 65, Malone 61, Pat Boutet 56, Carlisle 56. Now you look at his 93-94 leaders, 423 points compared to 305. Yager 99, Francis 93, and you know the rest of the story. Up ice, Yager, right wing Lemieux, wide of the net, played by Francis. Shows how much the Penguins have improved over the last time, or since the last time Eddie Johnson coached the team. And that's without Mario Lemieux, played all the 22 games. Here is Larry Murphy. Murphy out of the zone, chased by Ridley. Cross ice, Francis. Yager goes to the net. Francis denied the pass by Hatcher, now gets it through in his second effort. In front, Stevens, rebound. Beaupre got a piece of it, and the Caps clear the zone.
Now Stevens in the slot area, good shot. Beaupre makes the save, and again, Calle Johansson with a good defensive play, Jeff, batting that out of the air.
He's had a strong game, Sean. You're right. Larry Murphy bounces one into the zone. Stevens hustles after it. Leaves it there, and it's played by Dave Poulin. Banks it off the boards, away from Larry Murphy, and Barrasso will play. 10:36 left to go in the second period. 49 seconds in the Ricci penalty. The Penguins certainly having the opportunities with a power play. They've not cashed in, though, with the extra man. They lead by a goal, and the Caps clear it once more. 36 seconds remaining now in the Ricci penalty.
30, Dan, 30.
Up ice, Greg Brown with a pass to Rick Tocchet. Tocchet deals it, Hagood. Just leaves it there for Mullen, backhands it, bounces out of the zone as the Caps clear it, and down the right wing. Here's Konowalchuk. Konowalchuk turned around by Greg Brown, and there'll be a penalty there. Rick Tocchet steps into Konowalchuk, the late penalty, as Beaupre comes out of the net. And what's this? Mullen's down in a heap, and I think we're going to get coincidental penalties. The Caps will not get a power play out of this with the late call against Mullen.
Well, Kevin Hatcher coming in, delayed penalty. Konowalchuk feeds him a pass, shot on goal, looking for the rebound. And that's what happens. The stick comes up on Mullen, and it's not going to be a power play for the Capitals. Tough break right there, I'll tell you.
A high sticking penalty against Hatcher will deny the Capitals the power play we thought they were going to get.
Konowalchuk on his backhand probably wouldn't have even got a good shot on goal, Jeff, but with that hustle, and there's the follow-up. Hatcher with the high stick, no doubt about it. But Konowalchuk, by cutting to the middle rather than going around the net the long way, even if he doesn't get a scoring chance, forces Brown to haul him down, and would have put the Capitals on the power play.
10:08, the time of the coincidental minor penalties. While we say coincidental, they did not happen on the same play. Nonetheless, Washington will be down a man for the next 8 seconds, and then it will be 4-on-4 hockey. So Pittsburgh technically still with 8 seconds remaining in their power play, but the face-off in their zone.
Make no mistake about it, too. The Capitals being outshot 18-15, a close margin, a 2-1 hockey game. Pace has slowed down. We're starting to see more whistles in this second period. Works to the Capitals' favor. And this hockey team, Jeff, very much in this game against the Penguins right now.
Without question. .952 left to go second period. Mario Lemieux pronouncing himself healthy for the playoffs.
Wednesday night, the Bullets play their Paramount 20 season finale when the Bullets take the hardwoods against Alonzo Mourning and the Charlotte Hornets. That's the Bullets and the Hornets Wednesday night at 7:30 right here on Paramount 20 Sports.
Discussion there between the two linesmen, and there's Maruelli over talking to Jim Schonfeld.
Discussion on where the face-off should be, whether it should be in the Penguin zone or in the neutral zone, and you don't think that's a big deal, but with 8 seconds left on the initial penalty to Ricci, who wins this draw? If the Penguins, if it's in the neutral zone, win, probably could get up ice and get another scoring chance. Was it to the left of Tommy Barrasso? That favors the Capitals, of course.
Again, folks, Washington will play the first 2 games here on the road before returning to the U.S. Air Arena for playoff games A and B Thursday and Saturday. Operators are right now standing by at 301-386-7080. And again, we've seen in games between these two teams, particularly in the playoffs, a lot more Pittsburgh fans than Washington fans. And of course, it would be a tremendous lift to the Capitals to see a Washington crowd in the U.S. Air Arena for those games. Johansson plays it off the boards. Konowalchuk able to clear it. 9:27 left to go. Second period as Tocchet deals to Stevens. In front, touched off. 4-on-4 hockey here. Actually, it's 5-on-5 with the coincidental minor penalties coming. Teams remain at full strength.
Actually, normally it would be a 4-on-4, Jeff, but because those calls were not simultaneous, we see the 5-on-5.
Randy Burridge denied the Pittsburgh line. This is Bondra on the right wing, tries to cut to the net, does, scores! Peter Bondra, and that's exactly the kind of goal he must score to help the Capitals as he went to the net, didn't give it up. And Peter Bondra breaks a 12-game goalless drought with a big goal for Washington.
Well, not only a big goal for Washington, but of course for Peter Bondra, getting that confidence back. Had a great chance in the first period on a tip right here, using his speed off of the right wing. Cuts to the middle. This will beat Barrasso on the short side. There it is, a good quick wrist shot. What a great play right there, and a big goal for the Caps.
Bondra's second point of this hockey game. First goal of the playoffs. And again, not backing away, going to the net, and a great effort there by number 12.
Mullen scored the second goal for Pittsburgh. We talked about his second half lulls. Again, Peter Bondra with a fresh start, and he's making the most of it for the Capitals.
No goals in his previous 12 games, but a great individual effort there, beating Barrasso, and we're all tied up at 2. 8 minutes, 35 seconds left to go, second period. Taglianetti sends it ahead. This is Straka. Throws it on the right wing. Hustling there is Sandstrom. Held off on the play by Nelson. Joe Ricci rolls it around on the boards. Left wing, Randy Burridge squeezed out, but makes the play. Jones. Joey Junot. Junot drops it to the point off Straka, and the zone is cleared. Meantime, Jones gets tied up in the goal crease by Taglianetti, and an icing call against the Penguins. 8:07 left to go. Second period here in Pittsburgh. We're tied at 2.
Yeah, that's great. Good job. Hey, Ben, what's he listening to on that headset? Who's he talking to?
Talking to your girlfriend or what?
Yeah, I'm just asking him. He's on head. Who's that headset linked up to? Oh, okay. We're not allowed to mention that on the satellite?
No.
No.
Hey, we're buddies.
All right, guys. I want to see 8 rounds. Keep it clean.
Huh? It's okay, Ben. It's okay, Ben. Who said that? Jeff Rimmer, Sean Simpson rejoining you here in Pittsburgh. The score in Game 1, Washington 2, the Penguins 2. 8:07 left to go. Face off in the Penguin zone to the left of Tom Barrasso. Francis wins the draw. Samuelson behind Barrasso. Deals it on the right wing for Brown. The zone is cleared. And hustling here now is Slaney. First back for the Capitals. And again, the Penguins called for icing. And they hear a few boos here at the Civic Arena in Pittsburgh.
Slaney back to touch that puck up on the icing. One thing very noticeable with this Pittsburgh team, I guess, from playoffs past, Jeff, when you look at Rick Tocchet and Joey Mullen, a couple of great National Hockey League players, but I'll tell you, the speed, not that Mullen or Tocchet were ever great skaters, but just don't seem to have that quick step that they used to, and particularly Tocchet, when he's out there, continues to labor whenever he has the puck, and has a bad back. Rumored, I guess he's going to get back surgery in the offseason.
I was just going to say, that's a great observation. Rick Tocchet missing a good number of games down the stretch here, and obviously not in game shape, but he says, hey, what have I got to rest this for? We're in the playoffs now. And there's an offside call.
Well, he's been a warrior for a long time, and I think maybe it's starting to catch up to him a little bit. That back has been giving out for the last couple of years, and you play that tenacious style that Tocchet and Mullen to a similar extent play, as we see that last offside. It's going to take its toll eventually on your body.
You know, it's certainly a serious situation, but interesting to note that Pittsburgh has had so many key injuries, and they all are related to back injuries. You've got Francis, you've got Tocchet, obviously Mario Lemieux. You look at the Bruins and their claim to fame, not on a positive side, but a negative side, all the knee injuries. Cam Neely, Bob Carpenter, the former Capital, injured for a couple of years with the Bruins before signing a free agent contract with Washington. Ray Bourque injured down the stretch, back in the lineup last night. Dale Hunter.
From carrying their wallets around here in Pittsburgh.
Barrasso gloving it. Out of the net to play. Poulin tried to throw it in front, and it's Francis who denies with a pass to Jágr, bumped off the puck. And right now, Washington is outworking Pittsburgh. Along the boards, Jágr held off by Poulin again. One-handed by Samuelson. Not cleared. The Capitals out hustling Pittsburgh. Comes to Pivonka. Pivonka towards the net. Held off by Samuelson. Shell. And up ice Jágr. Jágr across the line. Tries to split the defense before throwing it past the red line. 6:52 left. Tied 2-2. Game 1 here in Pittsburgh. Both teams changing on the fly. Now Brown deals it ahead. Lemieux can't get anywhere. Off on the far side. And play whistle down. Offside to call.
Starting to hear the boos from the Pittsburgh fans. Catch a double dose of Star Trek, The Next Generation. Tune in weeknights at 7 and 10 as the crew of the Starship Enterprise tour the galaxy. That's the Star Trek, The Next Generation. Weeknights at 7 and 10 right here on Paramount 20.
Eddie Johnson. Former general manager, in fact, was the GM.
Former great goaltender, too, for the Boston Bruins.
Coached in Chicago. Now back in Pittsburgh, scores! Capitals take the lead, again winning the draw and out hustling the home team here. They beat Barrasso from the slot. Mike Ridley, the goal, and Washington has restored a 1-goal lead.
Capitals working against the Lemieux line at even strength. That's what Jim Sonnenfeld likes to see. Hemmed up in their own zone, off of the draw. Ridley wins it. Puck will come to the slot area, bounces off of Lemieux. Ridley just turns and fires and beats Barrasso high over the blocker. And again, Barrasso having a hard time picking up the puck. The Bondra goal was looking around, and right there as Ridley beat him over the blocker. Turned, and I don't know if he was screened on both of them, but that's a great shot by Ridley right there. Just turning and firing at the net, and that's a 3-2 Capitals regaining the lead.
13:29, the time of the Ridley goal. Mike Ridley finishing regular season play with 26 goals, equaling his total of a year ago. His first goal of the playoffs has Washington in front by a goal.
I tell you, Ridley loves playing here in Pittsburgh. In the season series was the leading scorer for the Capitals, had 10 points. Next closest scorer was Randy Burge with 5.
Hatcher and Miller drive the assists. Play whistle down. And there's 6:10 remaining. Second period.
And starting to get into it here in Pittsburgh, trying to get their team going. And I pointed it out earlier in the period, Jeff, and Keith Jones and the Capitals are doing it. Slowing the play down, whistle after whistle. And again, it's working to their favor, and it's been evident here in the second period.
Look at Mario Lemieux as Dan Maruelli is over at the timekeeper's bench. We might mention the off-ice officials here are from Philadelphia, the Flyers regular season crew, and we noticed last night watching the opening game of the Stanley Cup playoffs between Boston and Montreal that the Capitals off-ice crew, led by Bob Stafford, in Boston for game 1. Johansson shot, Barrasso the save. Taglianetti rolls it around on the right wing for Tocchet, and he sends it into the neutral ice. Michael Pivonka for Johansson. Cut off there by Larry Murphy. Lemieux takes the pass. The deal to Tocchet. Off a skate and wide. Now picked up by Johansson. Hatcher away at center. Hatcher deals to Mike Ridley. Ridley with a go-ahead goal. Bumped by Taglianetti. Tocchet gives it to Lemieux. Ridley held off by two Penguins. Lemieux now deals to Murphy. The pass for Stevens. Beaupre gets a piece of it. Ricci around the boards to the point, not out. Samuelson shot deflected. Down is Beaupre. He'll cover up. No further play.
I'll tell you, a great save by Beaupre right there. That puck coming from the left point as we get some pushing and shoving. Hopefully Beaupre okay. Stevens came charging in. But a great save by Beaupre. The shot from the point by Samuelson. It looked like it was tipped by Tocchet in front. Beaupre sprawling down the last rush. Lemieux coming off at the left side. Look who's back on defense. Kelly Miller in place of Kevin Hatcher. There's the pass across. Beaupre follows. Makes the save. Puck goes into the corner. And here's the second bit of pressure. Tocchet coming out from that right corner. There's the shot. And there's the tip. And look at Beaupre right there, getting next to Rick Tocchet and any young goaltender out there watching this game, Jeff. The key on a screen or on a tip shot, try to get as close to the player tipping the puck in front of the net, and that's what Beaupre did right there, and that gives him no room to maneuver that puck, and it just goes right into the body of the goaltender.
Don Beaupre, an outstanding effort here tonight, and Sean, we've said this many times before, and it's oh so true. You can tell early if Don Beaupre is going to have a big game, and he has certainly been sharp here tonight. 19 shots directed at Don Beaupre in the Washington net. He stopped 17 of them. Many of them have been from close range and quality scoring chances for Pittsburgh. We might add that Washington now has outshot the host Penguins 20-19 and have the 1-goal lead. Ulf Samuelson, left point. Deflected wide. McEachran now. A little touch pass there, but Hunter will play for Washington. Kept in by Samuelson, but denied. And here comes across the line, Konowalchuk. Off a skate of Samuelson. Now the outlet pass. This is McEachran. He's got some great wheels. McEachran circles. Looks on the wing. The pass for Sandstrom, and it bounces. And Sandstrom couldn't get the shot away. Martin Straka with the feed rather than shooting. And he might have had a better chance to score himself, with Sandstrom going away from the net. Ulf Samuelson pinches in and unable to keep it in at the point, but then Shell Samuelson able to dump back in.
Sandstrom at the same time, Jeff, backing off of that play. The puck was bouncing. He was hoping it would settle down so he could get a shot on goal. That's why he was backing away from the net.
4:26 left to go, second period. Here comes Yager. Yager now. Poked off his stick. Francis follows through. Francis Yager from a sharp angle. Beaupre got a pad on it, and the quick transition sees the Caps head up ice. Here's Kristich now. Washington's turn to the net. Kristich right on, and the pad save by Barrasso. Yager, outlet pass, Mullen. Backhands it for Francis, right back to Mullen on the give and go with Yager. Yager on the left wing, ridden off on the play by Johansson. And boy, has Kelly Johansson had a big game. In front, great save! Don Beaupre robbing Ron Francis from point-blank range. Oh my, 3:50 left to go. Second period, Washington by a goal.
Everything flows along. Slaney and Nelson playing. Everything's okay, and then all of a sudden Nelson's out there. Bang, bang.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, what a save, Donnie boy.
Much better, thank you.
Oh, that's a tough blow there. He's got to come back, though. Oof. Come on.
Thank you, Mr. Audio. We've got more effects in that second period.
We're going to have a replay coming back here a while, Bill. All right. I'm going to tie in the Cote thing with it.
Jeff Rimmer, Sean Simpson rejoining you here on Paramount 20, and what a save by Don Beaupre.
Well, a bad clear by Nelson, bounces off of Mullen, but look at Beaupre and the patience. Following Francis across, gives him nothing. If you're wondering why you're seeing more of Slaney and Nelson, that's because Cote's gone to the dressing room, has experienced some dizziness from being hit in the head. may not return.
Pass for Ridley over his stick. You may remember that earlier on in this period, Cote hit in front of the Pittsburgh net. And we've not seen Cote since that hit. Along the boards, Kevin Hatcher for Pavanka out of the zone. Pavanka now carries ahead across the line, poked off his stick. Ridley will save at the line with some help there from Kelly Miller. Washington changing on the fly. 3:13 left to go, second period. 21-21 on the shot clock. 3-2 Washington on the scoreboard. As we approach the 17-minute mark of period 2, and the Penguin fans getting on the home team. The icing call against Pittsburgh will force the faceoff back to the right of Tom Barrasso, and Kevin Hatcher logging all kinds of ice time.
I'll tell you, he's got to pace himself in a game like this, although they do have tomorrow off. But with Sylvain Cote out, every time we look down there, Hatcher logged 11 minutes and 38 seconds in the first period. I'm sure he's close to equaling that, if not surpassing it in the second frame.
Number of key saves by Don Beaupre in this hockey game has frustrated those Penguins here as we approach and have now passed the 17-minute mark of the second period.
An incredible patience on that last Francis play, though, Jeff. Following him across, showing that confidence, really gave him nothing.
Caps dump in. Barrasso will play away from Burridge, but it's knocked down by Hunter. Penguins will try again. Jones knocking Francis off the puck. Caps unable to keep it in, but chop it right back just the same. Taglianetti looks at the line for Mullen. Backhanding for Murphy, called on the offside. The initial pass was onside as Mullen straddled the line. Now Taglianetti, Mullen go after a couple of the Capitals as scrum develops. But folks, there'll be no damage here.
I'll tell you, Keith Jones doing his job in the hockey game, playing physical, getting after people. Had a big hit on Francis in the Pittsburgh zone. Came back, nudging with Mullen, and let's face it, if you're a player like Keith Jones, although you did have 6, you get out there, if you can get guys like Mullen and Francis talking to you, getting them off your game, you're doing your job perfectly.
Keith Jones, a key member of this Capitals team, and now getting some words of encouragement from assistant coach Keith Elaine. Look at the smile on Keith's face.
Never stops talking.
I know, never stops talking to the broadcasters either.
Never stops talking about himself. What was that stat he was telling us the other day? One of 14 NHL players this season to score 15 goals and have over 140 penalty minutes. We looked it up, and I'll tell you, it's pretty incredible to see some of the names that are in there.
He wants to be paid like
guys like Brendan Shanahan.
Best PR man for himself in the National Hockey League, Keith Jones. Here's Yager across the line, denied by Joey Junot. Dmitry Kristich now steps in front of Don Beaupre before dealing it out. Junot, the give and go for Kristich. Pass fails to click. Samuelson skates it to the wall. Ulf Samuelson now falls but makes the play to Francis. Cross ice Mullen. Mullen first across the line. Onside. Francis successfully straddled the line. Sandstrom denied by Ricci, and the Caps dump it in. 1:50 left to go, second period. Murphy, Samuelson throws it ahead, knocked down by Kelly Miller. Samuelson now with a glove to the face of Miller. It goes undetected by Dan Maruelli. Straka on the turnover, deals it right here to Konowalchuk. Delayed penalty, and the Capitals will get a power play here. Beaupre out of the net, play whistle down, and it's a holding the stick penalty.
It's going to be on Martin Straka. A good call right here by the referee. That stopped the Capitals from moving in on a 2-on-1. Poulin trying to break off of that right side. Konowalchuk had the puck. If you want to say a good penalty, might have been. Straka holds him, stops the Capitals from moving in.
Pittsburgh penalty, number 82, Martin Straka. 2 minutes for holding the stick. Time of the penalty, 18:35.
18:35, the time of the holding the stick penalty, as Martin Straka spends some time in the sin bin, and the Capitals will go on the power play.
No better time, Jeff, with 1:25 left in this period, up 3-2. Add a little cushion, maybe a nice 2-goal lead heading into the locker room and ready for that last 20 minutes.
I know we talked about it as we're going to look at Eddie Johnson on the Pittsburgh bench in our last telecast on Paramount 20 on Thursday. The fact that there's not as much expected from this hockey club, and I think that will work to Washington's favor. The Penguins are favored. In fact, as David Poyle pointed out, you listen to all the pre-playoff forecasts, the Penguins listed by many, if Lemieux stays healthy, to go all the way to a Stanley Cup victory, and that is including over a very powerful New York Ranger hockey club. With less pressure, the Capitals, as an underdog, might prove to play better hockey. High expectations in each of the last several seasons for Washington. Tremendous statistic, too. 9 of the last 16 first-round opponents over the last 2 years. Underdogs have won 9 of the last 16 series over the last 2 years. The underdog has won the opening round. Joey Junot. Hatcher in front, deflected. Barrasso the save, rebound left in front. Penguins try to cover up. Larry Murphy, Taglianetti down. No further play. Barrasso finally reaching out and getting the glove on it. And with Barelli losing sight, we'll have the face-off in the Pittsburgh zone. Now 43 and 6/10 seconds remaining.
Peter Bondra with the tying goal in this second period, doing a good job along with Michael Pavanka, getting to the front of the net. Puck is put there, whacking away for the rebound. Juno with the pass back to the point area. Hatcher with the one-timer. And there's Bondra and Pavanka whacking at that puck. You know you're going to get hit at some point when you're going for those loose pucks in the offensive zone, but they're paying the price. Good former Capital Larry Murphy.
How about that? 16 series, first-round series over the last 2 years. 9 underdogs winning, pulling the upset. You think there's less pressure on the underdog?
I think there's not only less pressure, but I think the way the 7-game series are structured in the National Hockey League, I don't know if it gives the favorite club that much an advantage that some people maybe feel they deserve after a long regular season.
Shot by Slaney, knocked down in front of Barrasso. Penguins unable to clear before Francis chops it out. 55 seconds remaining in the Washington power play. Final seconds, 15 and counting remaining in the second period. The Capitals have scored both goals in the second and have the 1-goal lead. Hatcher with a shot towards the net off Pavanka, and play whistled down, called on the offside.
Good job by Hatcher coming in on that left side, Jeff, knowing it's late in the period, maybe wouldn't have pinched in at another time, just tried to get that shot away, and I'll tell you, that had not been offside, the Capitals would have had another good scoring chance as Pavanka is ready to pick up that loose puck and walk into the slot all alone.
Continuing on that thought of the last 2 years in first round of Stanley Cup playoffs, last season, 1993, 6 teams that had home ice advantage during the first round didn't survive to the second.
You look at the Western Conference setup this year, Jeff. Ryan Murray has complained about it. Here's a Detroit team, finishes 20 points ahead of San Jose. But because of the distance between Detroit and San Jose, they're playing a 2-3-2 series with the club that finished ahead in the schedule having the decision of playing the first 2 at home and games 6 and 7 if necessary, or playing games 3, 4, or 5 at home.
Final seconds ticking off here. Final moments, in fact, as Hatcher backhands it away. Sandstrom now, and Hatcher off on the far side, sticks up. There'll be no damage done there. The Penguins leave the ice. Coach Jim Schoenfeld and the Capitals will do likewise. An excellent period of play from the Capitals' perspective.
Don't forget, last time in here it was Hatcher who had that big elbow on Sandstrom, pinching up at the blue line, got a penalty for that. So a little talking at the end there.
So in the second period, the Capitals get goals from Bondra and Ridley, even strength markers, and they have the lead after 40 minutes of play. Here in Pittsburgh, Washington 3, the Penguins 2.
Chance to win round-trip air to Europe, compliments of British Airways. Visit the Park House, Pittsburgh's oldest tavern, the Park House, 403 East Ohio Street, North Side. Penguin Pro Shop, your source for exclusive playoff t-shirts and souvenirs, as well as fans and Stingers merchandise. Penguin Pro Shops at South Hills Village, Beaver Valley Mall, and Union Trust Building.
And that's what he's got to continue to do for the Capitals to do well. The goal, Bondra's first from Joey Junot, his first playoff point. 11:07, the time of the goal. And Washington had tied the score 2-2. A little over 2 minutes remaining minutes later, the Capitals come back and take the lead.
Well, they always talk about the importance of offensive zone draws, and Mike Ridley not only wins this draw, but at the same time is able to get that go-ahead goal with a nice turnaround shot from the slot area.
Getting a look at that goal here right now, the Capitals capitalizing from the slot.
Good bounce, goes off of the shin pads of Lemieux. Hatcher with that shot. Look at Ridley just turning and firing, and I'll tell you, that was Jarmo Jagr dropping down in the slot. Might have put a little bit of a screen on Barrasso, because when that flew past him on the blocker side, he looked like he had no idea where that puck was coming from.
The goal, Mike Ridley's first of the playoffs. Hatcher and Kelly Miller draw the assists. 13:29 the time of the goal, and the Capitals led 3-2 after 40 minutes of play. A look at the second intermission stats. And before we get a look at the stats, we're going to look at a couple of big saves by Don Beaupre and a couple from point-blank range shot.
Well, after that first period, Beaupre playing so well. Team goes in down 2-1. There's the first one. A save on Kevin Stevens. There's Johansson able to clear it. Caps clear the zone. And here's another one off of the rush. Watch Todd Nelson. He'll get this puck behind the net, shoot it off of Mullen, and go right off his knee into the slot. Look at Beaupre, follow Francis across. There's nothing Ronnie Francis could do there. Beaupre patient, stood up, made another great save.
The kick save and then the glove save. Don Beaupre very sharp, very effective in the Washington Nets. The intermission stats, they're brought to us here on Paramount 20 by Roy Rogers. Stop by Roy's today for a delicious breakfast at terrific new low prices. 3-2 Washington. 10 shots, 22 in total for the Capitals after 40 minutes. 6 shots for Pittsburgh in the second. 2-period total of 21. The Caps are 0 for 2 in the power play. The Penguins are 0 for 3. Both teams, 5 penalties, 10 minutes in total. We'll be back. Giant Food Out of Town scoreboard. And we'll also have third period play. Stanley Cup playoff action from the Pittsburgh Civic Arena. Hey, Bill.
That's Jeff, actually.
How was that? Yeah. Sounds good to me. So, what is the score now? No. It's Buffalo 1, New Jersey nothing in the third. I got you. First score is what then? Islanders? Yeah, I got that. And then the second score is St. Louis, Dallas. Okay, we're set now. Good work. Yep. Hello, Marty, watching back in the big U.S. Capitol.
Hey, Uncle Buck.
Marty, I thought you were coming with us here in the playoffs. Where's our AD? Stanley Cup playoff hockey tonight from Pittsburgh. As we get set for the third period, the Washington Capitals 3, the Pittsburgh Penguins 2. Jeff Rimmer, Sean Simpson rejoining you here at the Civic Arena. And before the third period begins, a look at the Giant Food Out of Town scoreboard. This afternoon, the New York Rangers, a shutout win over the New York Islanders. Leading the way, Mark Messier with a goal and 2 helpers. Also this afternoon in Dallas, first ever Stanley Cup playoff action in the state of Texas. And it was the Stars over St. Louis by a score of 5-3. Gilchrist with a pair of goals. One other game tonight. That game at the Meadowlands in New Jersey. Now in the third period, Buffalo on a goal by Todd Simon, assisted by Dale Howard-Chuck at 19:49 of the first. Buffalo leading New Jersey 1-0. Well, Sean, what do you think? Third period here. Capitals have played textbook hockey, the kind of game, certainly leading with the goaltender on out. Don Beaupre's been sharp, but Jim Schottfeld has asked each and every player individually prior to the start of the series what he expects, starting with Don Beaupre, and he's got it for 40 minutes.
Well, I'll tell you, I don't think the teams could have showed us any better exactly what we want to happen. The first period, Capitals got skating, was a little more of an open period, transition game, and that period slowed it down. That's exactly, if you're a Capital, that's what you want in this third period. Continue to get the whistle, slow the play down, and let's face it, the more time that they spend in the Pittsburgh zone rather than backing off, the better off they'll be.
And the Capitals will start hopefully in that Pittsburgh zone for the third period. They have 35 seconds remaining in the Straka penalty, so they've got the power play and have Junot, Pavanka, and Peter Bondra, who's got a pair of points tonight, a goal and an assist. Slaney and Hatcher on the back line. Boy, you can really tell the emotion that Kevin Hatcher is bringing into this hockey game here tonight in that interview in the second period.
Looking down at the Capitals bench area, Jeff, Sylvain Cote has not returned for this third period, so they're down to 5 defensemen, the 2 on the ice, and then of course Riki along with Johansson and Slaney.
And it is Slaney stepping in front of Don Beaupre. 5 seconds left on the penalty. Left wing pass and play call.
Well, John Slaney logging a lot of ice time in that second period, played very well. Joey Juneau with a strong game, and I'll tell you what's impressed me through 40 minutes. Has not always been on the puck offensively, although he has an assist and has made some good plays, but anytime the Penguins, when he's been on the ice, have turned it back the other way, he tends to be that first forward getting back defensively.
Good crowd here in Pittsburgh tonight. I don't know if it's a sellout. A number of seats were available prior to the start of the hockey game. And we again want to remind fans that we'll have game 2 for you here on Paramount 20 Tuesday night at 7:30. The team then returns home for games 3 and 4, playoff games A and B, Thursday and Saturday. And operators are standing by at 301-386-7080. We want to see a good crowd in Washington. We want to see more Washington fans than Penguin followers. Hasn't always been the case in the Stanley Cup playoffs. But the Capitals playing excellent hockey here and looking to come home after, I think, enjoying the start of the series away from Washington, because the Capitals have played well on the road this season.
Well, you look at their record on the road, ended up 2 games over 500 on the road, 1 at home, or I should say, so they played very well. Actually 3 games, 22, 19, and 1, and at the same time, you look at their last 10 road games of the regular season, Jeff, they finished off 6-3-1, and I think what's even more incredible is when you go down the stretch, 2 points on the road supposed to be harder to get, but the Capitals had no problem.
Turnover, Kelly Miller with a shot, Barrasso the save, rebound, skated away by Larry Murphy. Lemieux looks cross ice, stepping up with a play here is Tocchet at center. Tocchet throws it into the offensive zone, off the glass, played near side. Johansson can't get his stick on it. In the corner, it's Rick Tocchet. Out there with Stevens and Lemieux. Lemieux fenced off in front by Poulin. Oh, that long reach, tried to throw it behind Beaupre. And again, I think Beaupre got some help from the goalpost. Look at that long reach by Lemieux, fencing there with Poulin. And Don Beaupre tested early again.
Oh, what a great save by Beaupre. And you said it, Jeff, the reach. The only thing the Capitals could have done there was have 2 men on him. Poulin had the position. Lemieux just reached over him.
Samuelsson at center. Tries to shovel it ahead, denied by Jones. Samuelsson knocks down that pass, steps up at center, on the backhand, comes off a skate, carried in over the line by Doug Brown. Brown going wide, throws it in front, nobody in the slot there, and it's played off the boards for Mike Ridley. Ridley able to clear the zone, Samuelsson all over him, like an octopus I might add. Thrown on the right wing for Jones, he can't get his stick on it. Samuelsson behind Barrasso with some help. Rolls it ahead on the left wing, here comes Sandstrom. Works on Slaney. The young Capitals defenseman makes the play and then clears the zone, and he didn't miss Randy Burridge by much. Burridge would have been in home free. Slaney again with a pass to Ridley, and play is whistled out. We'll step aside. Exciting Stanley Cup playoff action from Pittsburgh. Washington 3, the Penguins 2.
Bad read by Ridley right there. Burridge falls into the corner. He's pinching down along the boards. Jones isn't even above the hash marks. Okay? You gotta be more careful. Yeah, that's when he got hit in the head, Bill. Dizziness.
Yeah.
A connection? Yeah, no, just some dizziness.
We mentioned that second.
Obviously. Oh my God, what a play.
Look at that reach, huh? We should show that. Can we show that replay?
Yeah, Bill, if you can get that goal, that last shot by Lemieux, go ahead.
Elvis has left the building.
Gotta look at that last scoring opportunity by Mario Lemieux. Look at Poulin doing a good job in front of the net. Not allowed to grab a hold of the stick, and there's that reach. Two good shots on Donnie Beaupre. First one, he makes a right pad save. Second one goes in behind him and back out the other side.
Calle Johansson. Excellent game by the Caps rear guard, and he rolls it into the offensive zone. Larry Murphy playing it ahead. Now this is Francis at center. Francis for Yager. Yager steps in across the line, throws it on the right wing. Konowalchuk back to play and pulled off Francis. Off on the far side, Johansson is bumped by Mullen. Centering pass in the slot, carried away by Junot. Here comes Junot, away at center. With a burst of speed across the line, deals it a hit to Pivonka. The backhand shot sails over top of the net. Riki's drive goes sailing wide. Taglianetti tying up Pivonka. Michael Pivonka trying to dig free with some help from Konowalchuk. This is Larry Murphy. Murphy off the boards for Yager, away from Riki. Neutralized play now. Johansson had some help from Riki, and it's right back into the Pittsburgh zone. 16:52 left. Third period and regulation time. Washington with a one-goal lead as Hatcher sends it ahead for Hunter. Hatcher again will find Slaney. Slaney stepping up in the play. Dumping it in, and then retreating to the line. Ulf Samuelsson rolls it around for Rick Tocchet on the right wing. Tocchet away at center. Here's Tocchet sending it in wide of Don Beaupre. Cut off left wing by Kevin Stevens. Out there with Lemieux and Tocchet. Played at the point by Shell Samuelsson. Beaupre out of the net. Leaves it there for Hunter. Off the glass, and the pass for Bondra didn't miss by much. Ulf Samuelsson for Stevens, sweeps it into the zone. Slaney. Pass for Kristich on the left wing. Kristich away at center with Bondra and Hunter. The three cross the line. The pass for Hunter on the right wing. The shot blocked by Ramsey. With some help, Bondra tried to throw it in front. Hustling after it here is Kristich. Away from Stevens. Bondra tied up by Greg Brown. And Ramsey for Buffalo. Or rather, the former Buffalo Sabre makes the play out of the zone. Riki throws it back in. Throws a punch at Greg Brown. No penalty call. Ramsey, the ex-Sabre again. The length of the ice, this one an icing call, and the Penguin fans getting all over the home team here. And here's how the Capitals can take the crowd out of the hockey game.
A quick look at the bench area. Just a quick point on Craig Berube from the regular season last game in Buffalo, Jeff. Probably won't see a lot of ice time in the third period. If you were following the box scores, got a 10-minute misconduct at the end of the last hockey game. That got him over 300 minutes in penalties. How that situation happened was really nothing at the end of the game. He skated by Kerry Fraser in the second period of the Buffalo game. Asked him at the end of the game to give him a 10-minute misconduct if nothing was going on. Sure enough, at the end of the game, Berube getting on the bus after that game didn't even know. Kerry Fraser gave him the 10 minutes, and he ends up with 305 penalty minutes and a great season for the Capitals in his first year.
Face-off to the left of Barrasso. Interestingly enough, the Capitals have won 34 face-offs to Pittsburgh's 21, and a key draw here in the Pittsburgh zone. 15:33 left to go. Ridley, Burridge, and Kelly Miller up front. Johansson and Riki paired on the back line as Coach Schoenfeld down to 5 defensemen. Alternating Johansson and Hatcher with a great deal of regularity. Cote again injured in the second period, experiencing some dizziness, and we don't know if he will or will not return tonight. Neutral ice play. Jones finds Randy Burridge. Across the line, and it's called.
You look at a situation like that, Jeff, with the defenseman, all of a sudden John Slaney, much like a young goaltender, when you're not expected to play, or for a defenseman not to play a lot, probably didn't have the nerves coming into the hockey game. All of a sudden Cote's out, but he's been thrown into the top four, and I'll tell you, has played very, very well, has John Slaney.
$15:20 left to go, third period. Pittsburgh Penguins winning each of the last two playoff series from Washington, and with those two series wins, went on to win Stanley Cups in 1991 and 92. And for them, to move down the playoff trail this time, they've got to get by a Capitals hockey club that feels poised and ready for the challenge with Pittsburgh. Larry Murphy steps in front of Tom Barrasso. Deals it on the right wing. This is Taglianetti. The pass for Sandstrom. Winds up. Glove save by Don Beaupre. And he'll hold on. The quick whistle. And we'll have a face-off in the Washington zone. 14:49 remaining.
Yeah. Sure. Sure, Wild Bill. Page from Capitals history book pertinent to today's game. 3 years ago today, the Capitals defeated the Penguins 4-2 right here at the Civic Arena. Donnie Beaupre was in goal, had 24 saves, and that gave the Capitals a 1-0 lead in the second round series. Don't forget, 3 years ago, they only played 80 regular season games. First round of the playoffs started 2 weeks early. That's why we're only in game one of round one this year.
From the faceoff, Samuelson saves at the line, goes off Yager's skate. Capitals have it. It's Dale Hunter. He finds Dave Poulin with Kelly Miller. The pass to Kelly Miller, back to Poulin, and Barrasso gets a pad on it. Great move and the give and go, and the Capitals up front. Yager squeezed out along the board. Johansson tying up the Pittsburgh forward. Squirts free and played by Slaney to the line, but not up. Mullen in the corner. Francis tied up, as is Yager. A tower of strength on the back line tonight, ladies and gentlemen. The efforts of Kelly Johansson, and what a job of the much bigger Yager here. Yager now spins out of the corner. Yager tied up. We're going to get a penalty call. Here's a shot. Saved by Beaupre. Rebound touched by the Capitals. And it's going to be a holding the stick penalty against Calle Johansson.
Calle Johansson doing everything he could against Jaromir Jagr, and there you see the speed and the size of Jagr shielding off Johansson, walking out of the corner. Calle exhausted at the end of a long shift. Had the hold of the left arm of Jagr as he came to the middle of the slot area. And the Penguins will go on to their fourth power play. There he is working out of the corner, a little position, that's all it takes. There's Johansson grabbing a hold of the arm. Jagr still able to turn off of that, though, and look at this nice shot he gets away. Nice calm save by Donnie Beaupre, whistle blowing right after.
So the Penguins, who were able to convert during the regular season series on a total of 7 of 21 power play opportunities, have not, I repeat, not scored a power play goal here And now with the extra man and the face-off of the Washington zone.
Usually Lemieux does not take the offensive zone face-offs, Jeff, but Francis at the end of a line shift would normally do that, then slide back to the left point. He's on the bench. Greg Hodgood's at the left point, and Lemieux will face off against Hunter to the Caps' advantage.
9 power play shots by Pittsburgh coming into this extra man opportunity. Hunter able to take it away from Murphy and keep it away from Lemieux.
Well, right there, a good job by Dale Hunter pressuring Mario Lemieux along the board, steals that puck, and I'm sure he'd like to have it back with Dale Hunter. Flipped it out of the zone, but because he put it into the penalty box area, faceoff will come back in to the Capital zone.
The face of concern from Eddie Johnson. And there is Dale Hunter set for the draw, and he wins another one. Oh, is Dale Hunter hot on faceoffs.
I'll tell you, with Lemieux on the power play, once they're in that offensive zone, Jeff, you've got to pressure him. You can't let him sit around. Sooner or later, someone's going to come open, or he's going to get a scoring chance himself.
Rick Tocchet carries in across the line, hit by Ricci. Along the boards, Lemieux lets it go to the point. Murphy cross ice for Francis, dumps it behind the net. Ricci can't get a stick on it. Lemieux's pass goes to Hatcher, carries up ice. Hatcher now from center. Crosses the line, then just rolls it to the wall. 1:13 left on the power play. The Penguins up ice. They've got the extra man as Murphy dumps. Ricci away from Stevens. Chopped by Hatcher. Right wing by Kelly Miller and played right on. 12:54 left to go. 55 seconds in the penalty to Johansson as Stevens crosses the line. Deals for Lemieux. Ridley keeping it away from big number 66 and forcing the faceoff as he slides into the boards and covers up the puck.
I'll tell you, that'll give Ricci and Kevin Hatcher a well-needed rest. They've been on for the full minute and 12 seconds killing off of this penalty. Jim Schoenfeld wanting to keep the two veterans out there, and a smart play by Ridley. Had lost his balance, had that puck along the boards. You see Lemieux directing traffic. Moving up. Not a whole lot going on. But a good job by Ridley once he had left his feet, Jeff, holding on to the puck. And when you're down a man, the referee's not going to call you for delay a game too many times.
Big number 66, Mario Lemieux, who has one of the two Pittsburgh goals. In fact, in the first period, Lemieux tied it up after the Capitals had taken a 1-0 lead on a goal by Dmitry Kristich. And tonight, Kristich, Bondra, and Ridley have scored. 3 players that must figure in the offense. Shot by Brown, sails high and wide. Lemieux can't get a stick on it. Kept in by Hagood. Ricci keeping it away from the Penguins in front of Beaupre, and then the zone is clear. Dale Hunter doing a good job to tie up Jágr and throws it deep into the zone. 30 seconds left of the Johansson penalty. Behind the net, Brown deals it on the wing for Jágr in full flight. Jágr across the line, walks by Ricci, walks in front, Beaupre the save, and he covers up on the rebound, sliding the glove out after the pad save. No further play, and a key face-off in the Washington zone. What a great effort by Don Beaupre.
And what a great play right there by Jágr. Hatcher and Ricci tired. They've been on now 1 minute and 41 seconds. There's a move. Ricci trying to stand up at the blue line. Jágr moves in, shields off Hatcher, but look at Beaupre again. It's the confidence, Jeff. You can see it in Donnie's game, not going down early. Jágr walking across the slot as he loves to do when he's in tight, but there's Donnie Beaupre following him. And when you have a defenseman right behind you putting on pressure, as a forward, you have nowhere else to go. And he's forced to stuff it into the pads of Beaupre.
Think back to the late season, Sean, and remember the problems that were plaguing Don Beaupre. He was playing very well, but then with the lack of activity, the lack of shots, was losing concentration. That's something that can't happen here tonight. On his work, and he's certainly being proved correct. He's getting the work and he's staying sharp.
Well, he's looked great, no doubt about it, and I'm sure down the stretch he'll tell you that fatigue played a big factor.
Mentally.
Yeah, and physically for so long when Tabaracci was injured, and both Defoe and Kolzig, and Schoenfeld not wanting to use him.
Samuelson's shot sails wide of the net. Played off the boards by Poulin. Kept in by Murphy. Beaupre out to play it. Over a stick. The net is empty, but the Capitals are able to clear. The shot sent to the point, and Beaupre almost caught out of his own net there. Caps have killed off the penalty, and Slaney dumps in. Larry Murphy for Pittsburgh. Slides it across for Samuelson. This is Mullen at center. Mullen across the line, leaves it there for Yager. Yager fires it. That's blocked by Slaney, and he too has had a solid game on the back line for Washington. Played off the glass. Unable to keep it in is Samuelson. Shell Samuelson paired on the point with Ulf. And the turnover finds Bondra away in the left wing. Bondra's shot. And Barrasso got a piece of it. Mullen knocked to the ice. Bondra the wraparound. Big save there by Tom Barrasso. Got the pad on it, then covered up with the glove. Peter Bondra, an opportunist, and I like the way Peter Bondra is playing tonight.
Well, Capitals earlier in the period, Penguins thinking offense. Dave Poulin on a 2-on-1 had a good shot on goal, and again this time, the Penguin forwards leaving their zone early. Bondra with the steal in the neutral zone. Moved off, got an initial shot. Barrasso with a blocker save. Then with continuing pressure, walked out of the corner and tried to slide a backhander short side. Good save by Barrasso once again. Steve Konowalchuk was open. Here he is at good speed, coming around. There's Barrasso, and look at that. Two Capitals right there. Konowalchuk and then Juneau coming into the slot looking for a rebound.
Tom Barrasso in the Pittsburgh nets, and will have the face-off to his right. Mike Ridley out there now with Burridge and Keith Jones. Ricky and Johansson paired on the back line. Ridley wins the drop. Ricky steps up to the circle and fires it wide. Johansson pinching in, rolls it behind the net. Randy Burridge bumps Brown behind. Cross-check by Ramsey. Loose puck played along the boards by Mike Ridley. Ridley finds Jones on the right wing. Banked back into the corner for Burridge. Burridge out of the corner. Randy Burridge firing it wide on the stick side. Ricky in off the point. Throws it behind the net. Ridley after it. This is Ramsey, right to Randy Burridge. Burridge to Jones, and the blocker pad save by Barrasso. Along the wall, Burridge shovels it to the corner to Mike Ridley. Ridley pinned along the boards, plays called, the net's off the marsh pegs. We'll have a face-off in the Pittsburgh zone. 10:41 left to go. Third period in regulation time.
Capitals with their best sustained pressure of this third period, working that puck down low. Good job by Burridge, along with Jones and Ridley. Three playing down low, a couple of shots on Barrasso, and I'll tell you, this is important at this time in the hockey game, Jeff, because even when the Pittsburgh Penguins set up in the Capital zone and move the puck around, if there are not shots on a goaltender, just the fact that Donnie Beaupre has to shuffle around, continue to visualize on the puck, mentally and physically you get tired a little bit. So Capitals put some pressure in the Penguin zone, gives him a little bit of a break, and time to get ready for this last 10 minutes.
Dale Hunter, who has won the majority of the face-offs that he's taken tonight.
I think it's such an advantage to the Capitals anytime they can have Hunter out there against Lemieux on the draws.
Actually, Lemieux wins this face-off. Right wing for Tocchet, who backhands between the Caps backliners, and Hatcher will come back to play after he takes it from Don Beaupre. Slaney lets it go to Kristich. Looks cross ice for Kelly Miller. Too far. Taglianetti finds Larry Murphy near side. Murphy dumps back into the Washington end. This is Hatcher. Slaney off the boards for Kelly Miller. Can't trap it. Taglianetti. Touch pass there, and it's backhanded the rest of the way by Kevin Stevens. Rick Tocchet from the right wing to the slot. Tipped away by Hatcher. Caps clear the zone. We've now approached and passed the halfway point of this third period. 9:56 left to go. The Capitals leading 3-2. Pass for Rick Tocchet, played by Slaney. The Capitals send it in. Konowalchuk away from Taglianetti. Konowalchuk looks in front. Juneau off the point. Can't get anywhere. Joey Juneau. Larry Murphy bounces one into the Washington end. Johansson for Juneau with Pavanka and Konowalchuk. Here comes Juneau to the net. Juneau walks in, shoots, scores! Joey Juneau, and the Caps lead by 2. What a goal, what an effort, and Washington leading for the first time in the hockey game by a pair of goals.
Well, that could not come at any better time for the Washington Capitals. Joey Juneau, that's what they have him here for, has had a strong game both defensively and right there offensively. Watch the Pittsburgh defenseman as Juneau moves through the neutral zone. Trip right there. Juneau moves in, and what a great fake right there. Puts the backhander past Tommy Barrasso, and a 2-goal lead with 9:26 left. That's a big one. Look at this move by Juneau, though. Lets Barrasso make the first move, goes down, and just puts it around and makes it look easy.
Juneau's first goal, second point. Here comes Washington again. Barrasso shovels it ahead. Yager for Mullen. Mullen at center. Deals for Yager. Francis held up by Mike Ridley, and play called on the offside. 9:11 left to go. Joey Junot with a goal and an assist, and the Capitals lead by 2.
Tell you, that's what Joey Juneau brings to this Washington Capitol Hockey Club that they have not had in past playoffs. Has played a strong defensive game, but when their team is only up by a goal, instead of having people to plug along the boards, they add a guy that has some skill. When that key scoring chance comes, that's the third one of the period, one by Poole and one by Bondra, and finally by Juneau, he connects.
Unassisted for Junot at 10:34. The even strength goal. All goals tonight, by the way, have been scored at even strength. And the crowd very suddenly has become awfully quiet here in Pittsburgh. Mullen's shot denied by Beaupre. Swept to the wall, and Randy Burridge carries out of the zone. Burridge down the left wing at center. Pulls it into the Pittsburgh zone. Barrasso will play off the glass. Knocked down by Ridley. Ridley from the wing. Sent wide as it was deflected. Pavanka can't get his stick on it. Mullen looks cross ice. This is Sandstrom on Slaney. And the young Capitals defenseman makes the play with Hatcher jumping up. Kevin Hatcher throws it behind the net. Excellent work here by the Capitals, and a well-deserved 2-goal lead. Michael Pavanka denied. In the corner. Banked off the board. Slaney on the turnover. Here comes Pittsburgh. McEachran pulls up on the right wing. Held off by Slaney. Joey Junot for Hatcher. Hatcher jumping up. Hatcher at center. Waits, crosses the line. Winds up Barrasso. The pad save. Taglianetti on the right wing. Junot is hit by Straka. Now Konowalchuk looks for Junot. Larry Murphy on the turnover. Junot had it poked off his stick by Tom Barrasso, and it's Straka on the wing. Looks cross ice. Here come the Penguins. Taglianetti. McEachran. Back to Taglianetti, and he is hit by Ricky, sent to the boards, and play is whistled out. 7:37 left. Capitals by 2.
I was about to make the comment, not on that play, but when he picked the puck up in the neutral zone. Yep. I was going to say that Juneau, here's a guy, because you get all that hard work, you're trying to hold on to a lead, you get the odd scoring chance, you don't connect. I mean, then he gets a goal like, what a move, eh?
Big lead.
Oh, yeah. Was that Samuelson who tumbled there, Ulf? Oh, was it? Because I couldn't, I never really saw who it was. Konowalchuk was right next to him. It looked like maybe Konowalchuk, but he didn't. But I thought maybe at first that he caught him with the feet. They would have whistled that right down, though. Oh, boy.
Stanley Cup playoff action on Paramount 20. Jeff Rimmer, Sean Simpson rejoining you from Pittsburgh.
And look at Dale Hunter on his last shift against Mario Lemieux, doing a good job keeping the body between the Capitals goal and the big number 66.
Lemieux a little upset with people hanging on to him, but how about him hanging on to Hunter?
No, exactly, and it's funny as they both went to the bench, Lemieux goes to his door, and as soon as Hunter sees he goes off the ice, he goes to the Capitals bench.
Kelly Miller had a roll off his stick. This is Samuelson. Samuelson playing it ahead. Lemieux turned around by Hunter. Stevens steps into the Capitals number 32, and you can certainly tell that Dale Hunter's a target, and the Penguins are frustrated by number 32 of the Capitals tonight, and with good reason. He's had a whale of a game.
Well, the Capitals with that 2-goal lead showing the confidence, not backing off. They're continuing to pressure the Penguins at their own blue line, and really, the Penguins have not been able to get anything going, and you know what will happen next, Jeff? The defensemen will start jumping into the rush, trying to create something offensively, and if the Caps continue to stop them, you know there are going to be some more odd-man chances back the other way against Tommy Barrasso.
Another home team having difficulty with the visitors tonight. The only other game being played, another Eastern Conference matchup, New Jersey trailing Buffalo 2-0. Simon and McGillney have scored for the Sabres.
Look who has a pair of assists, Dale Howarchuk.
And that is a final score. New Jersey loses to Buffalo 2-0. Kristich able to clear it out of the zone, held up by Samuelson. Shell Samuelson with that long reach. Able to shovel it ahead, only to see the Capitals gain or regain the offensive zone.
Now Beaupre, as he went out to play that last puck, Stevens got in his way, was interfering with Beaupre trying to get back into the net. Had they turned, as we now get Kristich and Samuelson pushing and shoving and whistle, but had they turned and went for a shot on goal, it would have been interesting to see if Maruelli would give Stevens an interference penalty.
Samuelson and Kristich, both now helmetless. Right at Samuelson, he's all arms and legs.
Well, he's a big guy, and I'll tell you, 35 years old, has been a nice acquisition coming across with Rick Tocchet and Kenny Reggett from the Philadelphia Flyers, and has given them some good stability on their blue line, playing with his countryman and namesake, Ulf Samuelson.
The big trade for Mark Recchi. 6:45 left to go, regulation time here in Pittsburgh. The Capitals with a 2-goal lead. And Samuelson and Krieger have both been given the gate. Coincidental minor penalties.
Jeff, playoff tickets again are available now for Thursday and Saturday night's games against the Penguins. So come out and root for the Capitals on to victory. For playoff tickets, call the Capitals office now at 301-386-7080. And I'm sure anyone sitting at home watching this game so far has to appreciate the effort the Capitals have been giving. So give the office a call, and that's games A and B, Thursday, April 21st, Saturday, April 23rd. Start time for both of them is 7:30. So be there at the US Air Arena.
13:15, the time of the coincidental minor penalties. Roughing for both Kristich and Samuelson. So it's 4 skaters on 4. And this gives the Penguins a little more open ice. And they've got Jagr and Lemieux up front with Murphy and Brown. This is Jagr around the net, throws to the slot. Murphy shot deflected off Poulin, but wide. Beaupre looking the other way as the puck sailed wide after it was deflected by Dave Poulin. Brown with a low shot. Traffic in front of Beaupre again, missing the net. Johansson takes it along the far boards for Hunter. Off the boards, but not out. Right back to Hunter again. This time banks it off the wall, and it goes the rest of the way.
No doubt on the 4-on-4 what mode the two teams are in. You got Jagr and Lemieux up front. Jim Schoenfeld counting with the defense of Poulin and Hunter.
And here comes Mullen and Francis. The two cross the line and denied by Slaney. Here's Kelly Miller. 1-on-2. Miller waiting for Ridley. Pulls up, leaves it for Ridley from a sharp angle, sails wide. At the point, Ricky dumps ahead. Along the boards, played by Mike Ridley. Bounces, and the zone is clear. Ricky dumps back in. Barrasso leaving for Larry Murphy. 5.5 minutes left to go, regulation time. Caps lead by 2 as Mullen sails down the right wing. Winds up, the blocker pad save, rebound. Francis fans, and then he was held off by Slaney. Back the other way, it's Washington's turn. Delayed penalty as Konowalchuk comes up ice. Away from a hit from Taglianetti, and a capital power play when we return. 5:15 remaining, Washington by 2.
Without a doubt. What's that?
What's the penalty? Hooking?
Okay.
What's that? 14:45. I got it.
2 minutes for the hook. Yeah, go to penalty box. Nice save by Donnie there again. I mean, Nolan got to keep that bad boy up. Why is Konowalchuk carrying the puck every single time we get a power play? Hey? Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
It's the 3rd time in a row he's been carrying the puck.
The play was behind him. Jeff Rimmer, Sean Simpson rejoining you here in Pittsburgh on Paramount 20.
Shots on goal pretty even to this point. 29 for the Capitals, and here comes the 28th shot on goal by Joey Mullen. Faking. There's the drive. Smart play by Riki right there. Mullen in his windup, backed off, made sure that Beaupre could see it, and here's the penalty. Slaney did a great job. That shot that Mullen took, the rebound went off to the left. Francis was charging in for it. Slaney got over, touched it to the boards, and that's where the infraction occurred. Francis hauling down Pavanka.
Taps on the power play. Evan Hatcher takes the shot, deals to Slaney. Down low, Junot. Camped on the edge of the creases, Pavanka. Junot to the net. Away from Samuelson, dumps to Pavanka behind. Pavanka held off by Larry Murphy. Junot behind the red line as well to help out, but comes to Hatcher, left point. He deals to Slaney. Right circle. Wrist shot by Slaney, sails wide. Hatcher play. Samuelson and Kristich out. Now, Capitals at full strength. Penguins down a man. A minute 20 left of the penalty. Kristich to the net. Knocking down was Brown. Kristich, cross ice. Brown again, blocking the shot, and the Penguins clear. A minute 10 left in the penalty to Francis as Kristich skates in over the line on the left side. He is hammered by Caglianetti, then gets an elbow as the two get back on their feet. Junot, Johansson, back to Junot on the half board on the far side. Junot looks down low. Pavanka looks in front to Junot. Kristich in the high slot. Now trying to bend his way in front of Barrasso. Pavanka walks out of the corner. The pass to Hatcher. Sails over top of the net of the stick side. In front again, Junot. Denied by Barrasso, the backhander, and the zone is clear. Kristich is held off by two Penguins, and Pavanka coming in to help his winger as the Caps now change on the fly. 25 seconds left in the power play. Washington 4, Penguins 2. 3:35 left to go, third period. Slaney steps in front of Don Beaupre. This is Johansson throwing it ahead, and Jones slaps it into the zone. Randy Burridge tries to come up with the puck. He and Ridley. Here comes Burridge. Burridge in front, looks to the point. Riki's shot deflected wide of Barrasso. 3:11 left in the period. The teams are at full strength. Pittsburgh up ice. Larry Murphy feeds to McEachran. Denied by Riki with a pass to Mike Ridley. Ridley and Brown, the only players back, and now Brown feeds ahead here for Murphy. 2:58 left. On the left wing for Stevens. Chopped out of the zone by Mike Ridley, and then he heads to the bench. The Capitals shifts will be short here in the final 2 minutes and 50 seconds. Up ice, Ramsey. Ramsey across the line, away from Konowalchuk. Hatcher will play for the Capitals. Hatcher deals it off the boards for Poulin. Caps try to clear, unable to do so before skated out by Dale Hunter. Delayed offside and play whistled down. Hunter bringing it out. Penguins back in.
Capitals continue to control, and on that power play, Jeff, Joey Juneau with that good puck control, working the puck along the right boards, not trying to force any plays. Your team's up by 2 goals. You're in the last 5 minutes of the hockey game. Don't force anything. The worst you're doing is taking time off of the clock when the Penguins needed badly a goal very quickly to get back in this hockey game. 2:36 left in the third.
Well, we've just received word from Washington with this exciting performance tonight, folks. From the Capitals' perspective, we understand that the operators back in Washington are very, very busy in taking your requests for tickets for playoff games A and B on Thursday and Saturday. Be patient, folks. You can call the operators back in Washington at 301-386-7080. And well after this hockey game, for as long as you need them, the operators will be there to take your ticket requests for playoff games A and B on Thursday and Saturday night. So be patient. The operators standing by are awfully busy right now, and you can understand why with this terrific team performance tonight from the Washington Capitals over the favored Penguins. Yager from the circle, knocked down by Straka. Hunter gets a stick on it, banks it off the boards. Here's Straka. The Penguins looking for a penalty call, as are the fans here at the Civic Arena, and they let Marawelli know.
Well, Straka right there had a hold of Dave Poulin's stick as they walked out to the right circle, went flying to the ground. I don't know if he's expecting a call on the Capitals, but very important. 2 minutes and 10 seconds left for the Capitals. Continue to move the legs, especially in their own zone. Don't give Marawelli any reason to put the Penguins back on the power play.
Face-off will come in neutral ice. Talking to David Poyle in that second intermission, rightfully. The Caps general manager pointing out all the pre-series predictions. of a one-sided series favoring Pittsburgh. And I said it Thursday night, Sean. You and I discussed it at great length. I think the Capitals have less pressure on them and are in a better situation being an underdog. In fact, the guy that's got the puck there, Kevin Hatcher, said much the same in our second intermission.
Well, they've done everything they needed to do. They've killed off the power plays of the Penguins, and they've gotten the great goaltending from Beaupre.
The zone is cleared by Kristen. No question, the Penguins have outstanding talent individually. The Capitals have played as a team down the stretch and are looking at an excellent effort, and another big save by Beaupre there. Would you agree with me? Beaupre first star of the hockey game tonight?
Without a doubt.
Tocchet, Murphy in front, sails high and wide of Don Beaupre. Dmitry Kristich and Tocchet looking to draw a penalty, but the Caps come up ice 3-on-1. Hatcher, Kristich, Konowalchuk, Hatcher, and he had the side of the net open, but fanned on his shot. Back up ice come the Penguins. Hatcher's left one of his gloves in the Pittsburgh zone. A minute, 8 seconds left to go. Murphy turned around on the play. Hatcher clears. Touched up by the Penguins, and with 1:02, it's called on the offside. Riki and Tocchet now, and there's no question the Penguins have been taken out of their game, and they're showing their frustration.
Yeah, we're going to get a penalty right here to Rick Tocchet.
And rightfully so.
He was upset because Kristich, as he was going for a loose puck, turned to put a hook on Tocchet on that last sequence of plays in the Cap zone. Caught him right in the stomach area, dropped to the ground. Kristich, Konowalchuk, Hatcher moved out on that 3-on-1, Jeff. I think they were in a state of shock. Couldn't believe they had a 3-on-1. That play went about as slow up the ice as you possibly could have. Konowalchuk delayed. They actually had 3 men to only 1 Penguin. Tom Barrasso put it over to Hatcher, misses the net. But boy, did that play develop slowly, and there weren't too many Penguins hustling back to the aid of their goaltender, as Rick Tocchet will get 2 minutes, and he'll head to the dressing room. Well, that just about put the icing on the old cake.
Tocchet gets the gate. 18:58. 2 minutes for roughing and a 10-minute misconduct to Rick Tocchet, the Pittsburgh Penguins.
And I'll tell you, we set up the game coming up against the Capitals and the Penguins Tuesday night, Jeff. You win the first game on the road, all of a sudden you have home ice advantage if you're the Capitals. That puts pressure on the Penguins to come out Tuesday night. Capitals can play a little looser. You come in, you've gotten your main objective, you've gotten the win, and that's going to play in their favor Tuesday night.
Goes right back to what we said in the very early minutes of the hockey game. The pressure on the Penguins, and now doubly so with the Capitals' performance here tonight.
I'll tell you, there's so many Capitals you can pick as stars. You got Donnie Beaupre, anybody on the defense that stepped up and played so well with
Slaney,
Cote out.
Hatcher, Johansson.
I think Riki's played outstanding as well, Jeff, and you pointed out the other 3. Joey Juneau has had a great game. You look on the defensive side, the job that Dale Hunter has done against Mario Lemieux. But I really appreciate the way a guy like John Slaney has picked up his game. One-on-one has looked just so solid. And he's logged an awful lot of ice time in this hockey game.
Before the Capitals even took the ice for a morning skate, you saw Jim Schoenfeld. He held a team meeting individually, if you can believe it, telling every player what was expected of them tonight and for the series in front of each and every member of the team. And boy, has it paid off in spades tonight for the Capitals. Across the line, moving in, was Jágr. And skating away from in front of the net was Johansson. We're going to get a penalty here.
It's going to be on Kevin Hatcher, a hooking penalty. Hatcher and Johansson. Jágr trying to squeeze between them on the rush. That's all right there. It'll be 4-on-4 hockey, and you can hear the booing of the fans, upset that with 49 seconds left, the fact of too little, too late. That's that speed of Jaromir Jágr, who went around Joe Riki earlier in the period. Beaupre had to make a great save, and again this time, working 1-on-2. There's a quick move on Hatcher. Both Hatcher and Miller working on Jágr.
.49 seconds left to go. Barrasso, in fact, now has left the Pittsburgh net. So the Penguins will play with 5 skaters here.
Another thing that works to the advantage, Jeff, during the regular season you have a lot of back-to-back games, you have a busy schedule. With the amount of ice time that the 4 Capital defensemen have logged, guys like Dale Hunter, Donnie Beaupre with a great game, You have the luxury of a day off tomorrow, rest, then you play the following day. You know your schedule all the time. You're not playing the back-to-back games where you play one place, travel to another, play a little bit tired. Caps will be fresh again Tuesday.
And as you point out, Game 2 Tuesday night. Folks, will have it for you exclusively on Paramount 20. Beginning at 7:30, the one-timer in the goal by Mario Lemieux. Power play goal, his second of the hockey game. First power play goal of the night. And hold on to your hats, folks. It's a one-goal hockey game. I say power play goal. They had the extra attacker with Barrasso out of the net. It was actually even strength as far as penalty time, with each team having a man off, but the Penguins had the extra skater.
Right off of the draw, and I'll tell you, it's going to make it interesting last 44 seconds. Barrasso back into the goal. It'll be 4-on-4, so the key here, of course, for the Caps is going to be to win the draw, get it into the Penguin zone so they cannot take the goaltender out. But right there, Lemieux all alone takes a perfect feed from Murphy, and there's nothing Donnie Beaupre could do right there.
Lemieux second of the playoffs.
Bet there'll be some people here in Pittsburgh scrambling to come back in as the Penguins have now called a timeout. Eddie Johnson diagramming what he wants his four men to do off of the draw should they win it or lose it. Sure, if they win it, Tommy Barrasso will be on his way to the bench and they'll get that fifth attacker on.
.44 seconds left to go, third period, and regulation time. In Schoenfeld, Keith Elaine, Doug Shearer behind the Capitals players who played an outstanding hockey game here tonight against a very talented Pittsburgh hockey team. And the fans, and there are few remaining, are on their feet for what will be the final 44 seconds of regulation time. Francis kicks it ahead to Lemieux, held off by Kelly Miller, who feeds Michael Pivonka. Pivonka darts in, Pivonka shoots, scores! Michael Pivonka, and the Capitals have regained a 2-goal lead. That will ice it with 34 seconds left to go.
Thought we were going to have to start backtracking, Jeff, on all of our talk about Tuesday night and the Capitals getting a victory, but right there again, standing up at their own blue line, it was Kelly Miller off of the draw. Penguins kick it forward. Watch as the play comes over to the right. Look at Kelly Miller working on Lemieux, kicks it up. And there's Pivonka moving in, and he'll beat Barrasso to the glove side with a good quick snapshot. And I'll tell you, I'm breathing a little easier.
Well, Michael Pivonka, 2 goals, 10 assists in his last 14 regular season games. First goal of the playoffs. Kelly Miller draws the assist, and the Capitals come storming back just 10 seconds after the Penguins have got the second goal from Mario Lemieux. Pivonka right now has the goal unassisted, but no question an assist should be given to Kelly Miller.
Barrasso heading to the bench with 34 seconds left, down by 2 goals. No sense waiting to see if you win the draw. Might as well put that fifth attacker out. And that's exactly what they're going to do as Larry Murphy hops back out onto the ice. Yager, the other pointman.
Francis and Pivonka set for the draw. The faceoff picked up by Brown, backhanded by Ricci, but before Larry Murphy sends it right back in. Johansson high off the glass, knocked down, and Pivonka skates it out of the zone. Final seconds tick off, 19 and counting. Moved ahead, Mullen sends cross ice for Murphy, bounces over his stick, plays it off the boards, sent wide of the net. Johansson hammered hard by Francis. 6 seconds remaining. Penguins with the extra attacker. Caps clear it as the horn goes to end the hockey game. And a courageous effort by the Washington Capitals, coach Jim Schoenfeld. And the Caps steal game 1 here in Pittsburgh with a great effort. Outstanding effort in goal tonight from Don Beaupre, and a great offensive and defensive effort in front of them. And the Caps have taken a 1-0 series lead with a 5-3 victory here in Pittsburgh. We'll be back, our post-game show ahead on Paramount 20. Caps win game 1. Go ahead.
Finals this afternoon, Dallas defeating St. Louis 5-3. The Rangers 6, the Islanders no score. Reminder, the Penguins are home Tuesday night, Game 2, the Washington Capitals. The Pittsburgh Penguins, thank you for attending. Good night, everyone.
You want the final score before the Southwest Airlines mention?